I need you to run this camera. That doesn't matter. You still get other. What? Okay, whatever.
Secure leg. We're going to practice secure leg on the bars right now. Kip. See, I got to go back to the elementary things. Just doing a kip, tap swing, and a tuck, dismount, fly away, tuck, fly away. Am I echoing? We'll just practice as we're going. So, arrows are doing JV warm-up vaults right now.
Farther back.
Sure. So, up on the uneven bars for Harrisburg is Kiara. She is an 80th grader from Harrisburg. And vaulting for the Aero JV team is Addie, excuse me, Addison Kunkel, who's also an 8th grader. Just did a handspring vault. On the uneven bars, Harrisburg is going. Just a reminder that if an athlete falls off of the uneven bars, the coach can talk to them. They have a time frame when they have to get back onto the bars. The coach can assist them back up onto the high bar. So she says do a couple tap swings to get going again so she can resume her routine. She does a flyaway tuck with a dismount. By the way, my name is Jen Bollinger, and with me tonight is Dawson Briggs, former aero gymnast. If I get the terms wrong, she's going to help us out here. Vaulting right now for the arrows was Addie with her second vault, Addison Kunkel, who is an 8th grader. Each athlete gets 2 vaults. They can keep their first score and they don't have to vault the second one if they don't want to. Generally, most athletes do both vaults. The highest score is the score that they keep. That goes for their individual and for their team score. Up on the uneven bars is Macy Adlin. She is an 8th grader for Harrisburg. You'll notice that some girls will mount the uneven bars from either the low bar or the high bar. Right now it looks like Macy's going to do a low bar mount. And what kind of vault did she have? Handspring vault. And again, each athlete gets 2 vaults. So she's going to go back, get ready for her second vault, while the judges score that first vault. I think Dawson, as an athlete, was the worst time waiting for the judges to score the previous athlete. Well, you stood at the apparatus waiting. So, second vault for the arrows was a handspring vault. She stuck her landing. Remember that the judges are looking for straight, tight body, pointed toes. They're looking for amplification from the vault table and then distance. So there's a lot of things that they're looking for. It's a really quick process for the judges to vault. Our next athlete vaulting for the arrows is Ariana Snyder. She is a 7th grader. She does a handspring half off. And Harrisburg just finished their uneven routine. She did a flyaway twist for her dismount. And
that was a pretty decent handspring half.
had a great landing.
Had a great landing. She needs a little bit more distance on it.
So when Dawson says distance, she's talking about distance from the vault table and then where they land. So she looks really tight. She's going to get ready for her second vault. How do you get distance from the vault? What's the key?
Having a really good block off the table. So straight arms, like a shoulder shrug off of it.
So pushing off that vault table tight.
Yeah.
So when we say block, that's what that means. We're going to talk in gymnastics terms, but we'll try to break those terms down for you so you understand. Up on the uneven bars for Harrisburg is Miranda Fokin. She is a 9th grader. She's going to do a mount onto the uneven bars from between the bars. So you'll see her, she's going to face the low bar, but then she's going to do a change of direction. Change of direction gives her a couple extra points in her composition, and then it also helps with her start value. So when you watch a routine either on the beam or on the uneven bars or on the floor, they're going to look different, but each of the elements that is in their routine has a point value. And it doesn't remind me, when they do a round off into the vault table, that vault is called a, and both of us have forgotten that
I
now.
forgot, yep.
It will come to us. It will come to us. But lots of athletes are going to do that. All right, so what you're looking at right now is an athlete warming up on the, or not warming up, performing on the uneven bars. She just did a flyaway tuck. Now we're going to see this vault. That was a handspring half. She had a lot more distance on that vault this time. So like Dawson was talking about, she blocked. You saw how her body was tight. Now we're back to Harrisburg. That's a squat on to the high bar. These are called tap swings and a tap or pull up. And now she's doing a hip, and she'll do a flyaway tuck dismount. And next,
Ella's going for her second vault.
so here comes Ella on her vault. And notice that little back step on her landing. So that little back step is going to be a 1/10 or 2/10 of a point off. Each vault, they don't automatically start out of a 10-point vault. So if you see a score flash up, they're gonna, each vault has a different start value. So handspring vault is gonna be a less point value. Ella added that half twist into her vault, so that elevates her score. That's just a warm-up vault right there. So you're gonna see the coach touching the athlete on a warm-up vault, but when it is just a competitive vault, the coach might stand there. You see Coach Fisher standing there, but she won't be able to touch the athlete. So, and Cameron's going to be the next up vaulting, and we can see now Harrisburg going. Harrisburg, we've got Molly. She is an 8th grader, Milady. She's doing some tap swing push-ups. And she's getting ready for her dismount. That was a layout flyaway, so notice she doesn't tuck her knees up. She had a little back step on her dismount, but looked nice and tight with her flyaway.
And what Cameron is doing on vault is called a Yurchenko.
Yurchenko vault, that means that's that.
Okay, how about now?
Into the springboard.
Okay. Well,
So it's a Yurchenko handspring. That was a nice stick up on the uneven bars. We've got Layla Vincent. She's an 8th grader. She had a nice giant there. Some tap swings. So that was just her warm-up. They're warming up on the vault as well. So prior to going, each student gets what in gymnastics is called a touch. A touch is just their warm-up before they actually compete the actual event.
Marley Wadsworth is going to be up on vault.
So here goes Miss Marley.
I believe she does a Yurchenko as well.
Yep, there's the round-off and a Yurchenko layout. So nice and tight, had a little hop at the end. So what she's hoping for in her next vault, when she does it again, is that she sticks that landing and kind of gets rid of that hop and maybe lets her knees absorb that shock a little bit so she doesn't bounce back.
Every point is worth it. Gotta focus on the stick landings.
Yep. And so they're done warming up here for Harrisburg on the uneven bars. They're going to get ready to compete, so they're setting up for that athlete. Marley's going to go vault, so here comes Marley. She has that Yurchenko layout vault. Her first one was a 7.9. Oh! Well, that was really graceful, Marley. You know, sometimes girls get a little overwhelmed and they do some exciting things on the vault. I've seen many things happen like that, so that's avoided vault. So she takes that first vault instead. Again, now the athletes are warming up. Number 711, Layla Vincent, our 8th grader, just got done competing on the bar. She had a lovely routine. She had a flyaway, layout flyaway for her dismount. Stuck landing, looked really good over there. And notice we're back and forth, so at a gymnastics meet, generally this is a duel, so there's only 2 events going on, but at a gymnastics meet, usually there is somebody on every apparatus, and it is busy to watch. There's warm-ups and athletes going all at the same time. When we get to the floor, you'll hear music start to play, so the athletes have to be really focused when they get on their event and sort of block out everybody. Caitlin's going on the vault now. What kind of vault is this?
She does a Yurchenko as well.
So you'll see the round off into the table. And then a back handspring. So again, looking for distance from the apparatus. At this camera angle, it's a little tough to see how far back they are getting from the table. But when we get into some of those bigger vaults, you'll see they travel a good 4 or 5 feet.
Yep.
Or further.
Or further.
Or further from that vault table. And that's what the judges are looking for. Watch Caitlin as she goes into that vault to keep her legs together nice and tight. And then again, that block off the table. Over on the bars is Cara Woolbrink. And here goes Caitlin. That was a nice stuck landing, good solid landing. Her first vault was a 7.7. Over to the bars, we're seeing a giant.
Some pretty nice giants.
Pretty nice giants. Tap swing. And then like a shootout, toe-on shootout from the high bar with a stuck landing. It was really pretty dismount.
Caroline's warming up, and then we got Kinsley Van Gale. They're going to go on the vault.
So Kinsley Van Gilder, she is a junior for the Arrows. She's been competing varsity since 7th grade.
Oh, yeah.
So Kinsley's pretty comfortable in this environment. But every meet you still get nervous. That last vault was a 7.8 for Caitlin. And here goes Kinsley. And again, the judge will raise a flag so that the athlete knows when it's time to go. But again, that's probably the most nervous time, is right, waiting for that judge. So again, a your Chaco, half on, half off, or was it a full off?
I think it was a half off.
Half on, half off. So she does either Chaco, she's in a layout position, she twists her body halfway onto the table, and then blocks, and then coming off the table, twists her body halfway again as she dismounts. Lots going on in this vault. And again, some downtime here as we wait. The Harrisburg athlete's been waiting at those bars, waiting for the judge to flip up the score. Kennedy Malloy. We're going to say Kennedy Malloy. You're getting it wrong. We're sorry. She's an 8th grader. Again, she mounts the bars from in between.
Does a switch kip.
Beautiful switch kip. A squat onto the high bar. A kip to giant.
Very
And
nice.
Controlled giant. Their feet can't hit that back or that low bar. Sweet landing with a layout. Stuck landing. That was really nice. We had 885 on Kinsley's first vault. Her half on, half off. Trying to get those scores to you so you could hear how each athlete did. An 885 again for Kinsley Van Gilder. And a little warm-up vault as we're waiting. So there's athletes warming up on both the vault and the uneven bars right now. Caroline is going. Caroline Benson is going on the vault. Again.
Handspring full.
Handspring full looks beautiful. Again, looking for a little more distance from that vault table. So that block off the vault table just needs to shrug those shoulders and push a little bit more and get a little more distance as we're going. And for Caroline, she's a senior on the team, performing her vault. Harrisburg is going. We've got Jersey, who is a freshman. She's kip into a beautiful giant. Tight, straight legs, pointed toes. Oh, a little step on the landing, but it looked beautiful. She had some really straight legs and toes. Caroline Benson on the vault. Her first one was an 8-1. Her second one probably wasn't as good as her first. She had a little step on that landing. I'm guessing it's going to be a little lower than that first score. But again, the athletes get 2 tries at their vaults. They get to keep that higher score for themselves and for the team. And in between, those girls get those touches, so they get to warm up each of those vaults. Even though they warmed up prior to the event starting, then they get a little touch. So they're ready to go when they get on there. Our next athlete on the uneven bars is Kaya Botel. She's a senior. She's a fun athlete to watch. She's been great. She's been doing gymnastics since she was a little girl. You're going to see some great, I'm going to say stunts, but skills from her. How about skills? To me, they're stunts. I can't do them. 8-2 for our last athlete on the uneven bars, and Kaya's going.
We have Ashley Stanley, which is also a senior. She just did a handspring full on vault.
And then Kaya over on the uneven bars, she just did a squat on to the high bar. We had a kip to a giant, so when they do that kip, they want to do a handstand on top of the bar before they're starting their kip. She had a full flyaway. From our spot, it looked like she was pretty close to the bar, but she was actually a little further away. Just a weird angle that we're at. But that was a full flyaway, which was beautiful.
Ashley's first vault, which just an 8 even.
Here goes her second vault. And we're probably going to take the first vault on that. We had a lot of steps on the end there, but it was still tight, pretty. Just got to stick those landings. Over on the uneven bars, Brindley Sanderson will be next up. But the next athlete's warming up before Brindley goes. And I think our next vaulter,
Shauna.
so Shauna Evenson is an 8th grader. She's getting ready to vault here shortly. These are our varsity athletes that you're watching right now. So you're going to see some bigger skills. Over on the uneven bars, I see they're warming up an overshoot or a bail. They can go by both names, where an athlete changes direction on the high bar and then lets go and flies down to the low bar, which is kind of fun to watch. Shauna's vault is coming up. Here she goes. And she does a handspring full, it looked like. Or was it a handspring 1.5?
It looked to me like a 1.5.
We're gonna go with 1.5 because that's way more twists. And again, the coach is talking to her about how to stay tight when we're twisting. The tighter you are, the more points we're getting. Over on the uneven bars, let's take a look here. We've got Brindley. You're gonna see some really cool skills here. She's gonna transition to the high bar with a squat on. And then you're gonna see her do a kip to a handstand, a giant, and then she's gonna switch direction here, I think. Nope, that's the next athlete. So she does 2 giants into a flyaway. The next one is the one that does the overshoot. So it's kind of fun to watch those bigger skills. They're called release skills on the bars. A little more difficult, obviously adds more points. And what did Shauna get on her vault? Did we see the score?
I think it was an 8.
8-2. It'll be popping up here shortly. And you'll notice that the coach is adjusting the vault table each time. Dustin, you want to talk about why the coach does that?
So the vault table, it varies in height. So depending on what type of athlete you are, you might have to lower it so you can get on it and then get your good block off it. Or if you have too much power, the vault table needs to be raised so you can not just fly over it.
So you don't want to miss the vault table.
No.
We saw that earlier. Well, we didn't miss it. We just sat on it.
Yeah.
So this is Brianna McElhaney that was warming up that you saw. Brianna McElhaney is vaulting. She is an 8th grader. So she had a handspring half on. It looked like half off. Handspring full. So sometimes the athletes don't make that full turn, and that's what the judges are looking for. So if it's a half spring full and we don't make that full turn, that's a deduction in points. And Caitlin Mason, who is a freshman, she's gonna go on the bars. She mounts on the high bar with the kip up, and I know we can't see that right now, but she's gonna do a kip up, and then this is the overshoot into a kip, toe on, handstand into a giant. That handstand was beautiful. And look at her legs and toes. They are as straight as can be with a layout, flyaway, stuck landing. That's gonna score her quite a few points. Caitlin is a great athlete. We've watched her for years. Great skills on those uneven bars. Nicely done. So I believe Harrisburg is done on the uneven bars. They went through their JV and their varsity lineup. And we're finishing up vaulting over here for the arrows.
Ashlyn Andrews is going to be up.
So Ashlyn's an 8th grader. And again, waiting for the judge. And she's got the flag and she's ready to go. Right now, the 9-1 score was for Brianna, which is a great score. She had a great power on that.
She is a powerhouse.
That was a handspring full. So she does the handspring onto the vault table, full off. Full meaning a full twist. If you look, that table is set pretty high for a really short Brianna because she is so powerful when she makes her approach. And her block, if you look at her block, she can block off the table and get good distance.
Oh, yeah.
So here she goes again. Oh. And that happens. But her first vault was a 9-0, which we'll take as an excellent vault. She skips back to her teammates, giving high fives. So she's still pretty happy with that first vault. That was a beautiful vault.
Ashley's always a very positive girl.
All right, so right now we are waiting. Oh, we got the score 8-9-5 on the uneven bars. That was for Emma, or Caitlin, excuse me. Caitlin Mation. Emma is her sister. Caitlin Mation. She did a great job on that. Caitlin Rudabush is over here giving us a little hi. And Caroline Benson. They're just waving. They're going to go get ready. They're going to, so at a duel, what they usually do is they run the vault and the uneven bars at the same time. So it's not an Olympic rotation. An Olympic rotation goes vault, bars, beam, floor. Here, they're going to just flip-flop. They did vault, and they'll go over to uneven bars. Uneven bars will go over to floor. And then when those rotations are done, then the teams will switch to floor and beam. And then they'll flip on floor and beam. They do that, the bars go pretty quick and the vault goes pretty quick. So to try to keep them the same amount of time, keep the beam running so girls aren't sitting and cramping up and getting cold. So they're gonna do touch warm-ups again. So prior to starting that event, they get the touch warm-ups, which is a whole team warm-up. And then as they go through their performance order, again, they get another touch on the apparatus right before they perform. So you'll see this warm-up and then the touch warm-up.
Right now, Watertown just has to reset the bars for the girls.
And again, like the vault table, depending on who the athlete is, if they're a tall athlete, my daughter was a gymnast, and her bars were as far apart as humanly possible. So
All the way out.
all the way out and all the way up. So when she did giants, she wasn't hitting her toes on the low bar. And again, on the vault table, her vault table was all the way up. It's just you have to reset it for each athlete. You don't see that on the floors because there's nothing to adjust. Or the beam, usually they just set it at one height for the team, and it just usually stays that height for everybody. You don't often see coaches adjust the beam every once in a while. I know the Mitchell coach would adjust the beam once in a great while, but that's about the only team in the ESD that we saw adjust the beam. But the vault table and the bars, you're going to see a lot of adjusting. On the bars, they can move them further apart. They can also move the high bar and the low bar up and down. So it's a lot of adjusting there. Vault table just goes up and down. And then the springboard in front of it, there's a certain distance that each athlete likes the springboard.
Yeah. Depends on how big your hurdle is.
So running up to that vault, or not the vault table, but the springboard. How difficult is it, Dawson, to figure out where you start running for a vault?
It is pretty difficult.
So how do you guys go about figuring that out?
Well, so in practice, put our heels like towards on the springboard, lay down, stretch our feet out, stand back up,
Okay.
and then run about 10 or 11 steps that the coaches count, and they'll put you at a spot.
Okay.
And then from there, you just have to see if it's your distance, and you'll either go back foot, forward foot, until you find your groove.
Kind of find the sweet spot. And I know if you watch gymnastics quite a bit, there are some girls who have short vault or short runway. I know my daughter would often start in a closet because her runway was as far back as humanly possible so she could get up to speed, maybe. I don't know. I always asked her, why is it so long? Mom, it has to be that way. So, yeah, it just depends on the athlete and what they're comfortable with. You can see the coach right now, Miss Vicki Fisher. Oh, we got some fans. They don't even know they're on TV. I think that's Wadsworth. Oh, look at that. They're on camera. They don't even know they're on TV. All right, so you saw the coaches, Vicki Fisher there, and Melissa. They have adjusted those bars to try to get them in the right spot for these athletes who are warming up. Sometimes in the lineup for athletes, lots of times you want to put your best athlete at the end of your performances or the end of your lineup. But sometimes, especially on the bars, you're going to do your lineup based on height and where the bars are set. So if you have the short athletes, they're going to go first.
Yep,
And then
always.
and then the taller athletes, then you can readjust the bars, get them further apart. So you're not adjusting the bars so much in between each athlete. So that's what's happening right now. And they don't start warm-ups until the athletes actually touch the apparatus. So right now you see Harrisburg, they're just running up and down the vault table to just kind of get their bodies warmed up again after standing. So you'll see that. But that the warm-up time doesn't start until the first athlete actually touches the apparatus. And so the judges at each judge table, or at each table, they have timers, and they do a timed warm-up to start with. Usually it's a minute or 2 minutes per athlete. So if there's 5 athletes competing, it's 5 minutes. If there's 7 athletes competing, it's 7 minutes. And then same with the vault or bars or beam, it's going to be the same kind of thing. And we'll talk about that when we get to beam and floor, because it looks a little different. Because the floor, you're going to have more than one athlete on the floor at a time. The beam, you might see an athlete on one end of the beam and another athlete at the other end of the beam, just trying to get all their touches and go through all those skills one last time before they actually have to compete. So each team is now warming up. They're doing their timed warm-up. Like I said, after the timed warm-up, each athlete gets a touch in between right before they go complete their skills. So that's what you're watching right now.
Touches are usually like about 30 seconds to a minute for each athlete.
So not a lot of time. When you did your touches, Dawson, did you try to do your hardest skills on your touch, or did you just want to get up there and just...
Normally, if I would have like failed something while we were all warming up, I would go back and just do that just to make sure that I had it solidly down.
Yep.
I could like try to follow them now.
Vault, I rarely used any.
And what our listeners don't know, Dawson was
That
a
look okay.
beautiful
I would
bar.
follow them down
Her
like
bars
this.
were amazing. Great giants. She's a strong athlete, so
Yeah,
it was
Carter.
always fun to watch Dawson on the
That
bars.
didn't Spotify.
And then what you'll
That
see,
isn't Spotify.
and I don't know if you can see it on camera as much, but
How
you'll
long will this
see it a
take?
little bit more when we get to the floor and the beam. But you'll see athletes off to the side. They find lines on the floor and pretend that they're either the beam or the floor, and they're practicing some of those skills. They aren't going to go full out, obviously, on the hardwood floor, but you'll see them doing some things. Just a couple of seconds ago at the beam, you saw somebody messing around with the springboard. So there's springs in the springboard, and some athletes take out or add springs to it, depending again on their strength. So you'll see athletes sometimes pulling springs out of the springboard. They're not wrecking the springboard. It's just, again, what their comfortability is. They need to get the most power for each of them.
I'm trying to do something.
And again, as you're watching the arrows
No
warm
idea.
up, you're
tell us what we need in the routine, and then continue to work on it with us. And we're just gonna keep going throughout the season. Like the switch kips you see, that counts as a transition, so that adds a point. Bar.
That's
And then they
funny.
change direction.
She is.
Yep.
Putting her feet on the bar just helps her keep her feet up better.
A lot of times these athletes, they don't look tall, but still hanging from the rope. So if you can touch the mat or the ground, or it counts as a fall. Can count as much as a half a point. Up and down on the screen, these are the scores for the athletes. You can see the information is out over there for Harrisburg. So each of those schools will put up their bars and their vault. And you can see those girls just standing around waiting to go through just a couple seconds of their routine or just a couple parts. Lots of times the girls are doing the low bar portion of their routine, hop off, hop on and do the high bar portion of their routine, hop off. Third time around, they might chat right through the full routine really quick. A bar routine is at most 30 seconds, maybe
30 to 45.
30 to 45, depending on what skills you've got in there.
Yep.
Remind me what that's called on the high bar.
Which part?
It's a hip pullover, pullover,
A long hang?
long hang kip, or long hang
Yep.
pullover. And as we name some of these skills, especially when we get to the floor, you're going to hear some crazy names. Your Chenko was one of them on the vault. They're named after athletes who actually performed that skill the first time. Great names: your Chenko, Shushinova. Ooh. On that warm up, you saw she kind of when you let go of that high bar a little too early when you're doing your flyaway, you kind of
Shoot out.
fling yourself out. And you can tell they're kind of finishing up warm-ups. Some of those girls are trying to hustle, wanting to get in that last touch, like, ooh, I need to practice this one last thing. And I think we're going to see some pretty big vaults from Harrisburg as I'm watching. Lots of your Chenko handsprings. So if you remember, your Chenko vault is when they do the round off into the vault table, or into the springboard and then into the vault table.
And Watertown right now is resetting the bars.
So notice that the bars are going down again, like we said earlier. They warm up the shorter ones first, change the bars, warm up the taller ones. Now they're going to go back, so we're in competitive mode. So we're lowering the bar a little bit, getting them ready to go. It's going to be difficult for us to see each vaulter because their numbers are not on both sides of their cards. Each athlete's assigned a number. That number travels with them their whole gymnastics career. Dawson, do you remember your number?
163.
163. Brooke Bollinger, 162. So that number sticks with them forever until they graduate or are no longer in gymnastics. So Harrisburg's numbers are facing away, but we'll be able to see, I think, when they vault with our camera angle, which athlete's vaulting. Sometimes at meets you'll see at a state meet, the athletes have to actually pin the numbers to their leotards. When it's just a duel like this, or even the 12-team tournament that will be tomorrow, um, they just put up numbers so you can see which number corresponds to that athlete. Just like basketball players and football players, how they all have their own number. Also on the vault, sometimes, and I think we'll be able to see Harrisburg when they're vaulting, there is another card. The coach has to put up what kind of vault they're performing. And so on the card, we know what kind of vault that the judge is looking for. So it might say half on, half off, full, handspring. What other vaults? Those are mostly
Just
what
like
we
a
see.
timer.
Timer. A timer would be like half onto the vault table. As we go, we might see some Yurchenko layouts, Yurchenko tucks. As we get into those varsity bigger vaults. And it appears as if they're doing the full team warm-up. Not just the JV, but they're doing both JV and varsity right now. So that's why it's taking a little longer to get everybody warmed up.
Shauna has a beautiful transition.
And that transition is called a
Low to high.
low to high.
That's what I call it.
And then Shauna does a layout flyaway. So the difference between a layout and a tuck flyaway, a layout flyaway is the athlete's straight, board straight. A tuck flyaway, you'll see the athlete tuck their knees up into their chest. Looks like a somersault in the air. A layout flyaway is a little more difficult than a tuck because in a layout flyaway, they don't want the athlete to pike or bend at the waist. They want them to stay flat and straight like a board.
And layouts are tricky on the bar because you don't want to hang on too long and you don't want to hang on not long enough.
Just like we saw the one athlete who kind of let go a little too early and
Yep.
shot herself off. And lots of times at meets, they have a big warm-up before, like at the 12-team meet, you'll see big warm-ups before, and they'll time those warm-ups for everybody. But at a duel, they just time at each table, so it's not the whole group doing that. It's a little bit of downtime right now. Today's meets, we only have 2 judges. And those judges will then transition over to the beam and the floor. So they'll judge 2 apparatuses tonight. When you see a 12-team meet like you will tomorrow, you're going to see 2 judges at each apparatus. So there'll be 8 judges, and every apparatus will be going. So when they have that, whoop, you just saw a shoot off of bars. When they have 2 judges, then they take the average of the 2 scores.
Yep.
And then at a state meet, there'll be multiple judges. They drop a high and a low score, usually, and then take the average of the 2 scores that are left. So as you continue to progress into the bigger competitions, there are going to be more judges, and then taking the average of those judges' scores. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. When you have one judge, sometimes that judge can't see all the little nuances in a routine, but when you've got 4 judges staring at you, somebody's going to catch something.
Oh yeah, they always do.
They always do. They always do. And it can come down to, honestly, sometimes I think it's a big toe point.
Yep.
And it can be 1/100th of a point. So sometimes it gets that technical or that
Yeah.
And those are some huge, huge skills that you see when you watch the Olympics. But at this level, it looks a little different. Still difficult for these athletes. It's a tough sport. These girls have to be strong. Um, I always say in basketball, you're working on just that one skill, but these girls have 4 different skills that they're working on. And it looks like we're going now for Harrisburg on the vault. We had a handspring half off, I believe.
That would have been a timer.
It was a timer. So that means half on.
So for the judges card, it's a quarter on and a quarter off.
I still don't even need to
And
do
that
the
was
spin. I
Miranda
don't know how I
Fokin,
go.
a freshman. It's going to be kind of, I apologize if we don't get all of the Harrisburg names.
Did I move
Just because
angle?
it's difficult for us to see their numbers, but right now we can see. So Miranda's going to get ready for her second vault.
Can you get off me?
Quarter on, quarter off.
It's the
So
same.
if you watch her,
We've been on this angle for the whole entire
she
time.
enters quarter on, quarter off. So at the end, she's going to end in the opposite direction from which she started. So she started facing the vault, and a quarter together makes a half. And so then she's facing that vault table when she finishes. Next on the vault's going to be Macy Adlin, 8th grader, and it looks like she is a quarter, 3/4, quarter, 3/4. And for those of you watching, you can see what that vault is underneath that athlete's number, athlete 712, Macy. So you can see underneath what her vault's going to be.
Lyric is up on the bars for Watertown right now.
Lyric is an 8th grader. They're trying to fix our audio. I'm sure they're making us sound fantastic. All right, so here goes our vaulter. And notice that when she landed, she had to take several giant steps. So it's probably going to at least be a half-point deduction
Half point to a full point.
to a full point because she kind of had to run off the mat.
Yeah.
Saluted on the way. Lyric, is that Lyric finishing?
Lyric already finished.
Lyric finished.
I think.
All right, vaulting now is still Macy for Harrisburg. And Dawson, does that say quarter on, quarter off?
I think so.
We think so. It's kind of hard to see from this angle.
Yeah.
So here she goes. The judge is giving her the green flag. And there we go. We had a nice stick. She got an 8-0 on her first one and a nice stick on that second one. So I think that's going to give her a few more points when the judge flashes that score. All right. Who's our next up on uneven
I
bars?
don't think Lyric went yet then. Maybe they were still warming up. Now she's going.
All right, Lyric Diedrich. She's an 8th grader. She's going to go on the bars. She started. She's walking before, I think. She's going to
Front hip circle to a back hip circle to a squat on.
Missed her hip a little bit. Her arms weren't tight enough to push up. Back hip circle. And
Layout flyaway thing.
there we go. And remember, the judges are looking for a full flow routine. So if you see an athlete pause on one of the bars, that is a deduction of points. They want the athlete to kind of keep moving so there's a good flow to each of them. And I apologize if we're having some volume issues. They're kind of working, trying to get the volume corrected. Coming up on the uneven bars is going to be Addison Kunkel for the arrows. She's an 8th grader. And Addison again is waiting for the judge All right, Caitlin Rudebush is going on the uneven bars. She had a kip, front hip circle, squat onto the high bar. This is a cap swing
A flyaway.
and a tuck flyaway. Really clean routine for Caitlin. She's pretty excited about it, giving her teammates and her coach high fives. So coming up next for the arrows on bars is Ariana Schneider. She's a 7th grader. And in gymnastics, you'll a lot of times see 7th graders competing JV, 7th to 8th graders competing JV. But you have to remember these girls have probably been doing gymnastics since they were pretty little.
Since like 3 years old, maybe.
How old were you, Dustin?
I was 3.
You were 3?
Yep.
My daughter, Brooke Ballinger, was also 3. Competed until she was 18, so 15 years in the gym. We've got a vault coming. Quarter on, 3/4 off.
Molly.
It was a nice vault by Molly. Again, quarter on, 3/4 off. So she starts facing the vault table and ends with her back to the vault table. She's doing a full rotation throughout the vault. And I believe it's Ari over there. Yep, Ari Snyder
Yep.
on the uneven bars. Squat on to the high bar.
Just straight to a pullover. Kip. Push away. Yep.
Front hip circle. Or that was back hip circle,
Yep.
excuse me.
Straight to a flyaway.
And a flyaway. That was a replay on a warm-up vault. And Ari's done. And the next athlete is warming up. 8.25 on that last vault. And Ella Palmquist is going to be our next athlete on the uneven bars and vaulting for Harrisburg. We'll let you know as soon as we see her number. But they're still warming up over on the bars. I think it's Layla vaulting. It's not on the screen, but Layla from Harrisburg is vaulting. And they're waiting on the uneven bars. Again, waiting for those judges and the flags to go up. Give them the go-ahead. The judges take as much time as they need to score. There is no time limit for the judge. They just want to make sure that they're doing accurate scoring. If you ever watch or see a judge's sheet, they use shorthand. And shorthand every element of the routine. And then put, depending on the judge, put little hash marks if they see different deductions. And that's how they kind of keep score with each athlete. So if you're looking at a judge sheet for an event, it looks kind of like Chinese.
It's like chicken scratch.
Chicken scratch. So Ella's going on the uneven bars right now. She's going to squat onto the high bar. And those are kips. And, oh,
To a
I
dead
lost it.
hang.
Dead hang. That is not a skill. Oh, so she's abandoning it because she noted she did not have that momentum.
It's kind of better to abandon it instead of keep trying and just getting more deductions.
Because each tap swing that they do, extra tap swing, is a deduction. If you do a dead hang and just drop, that's a half point, and then you're done and you can start over. So they can go back to that low bar, squat on, and get back up to the high bar. Notice that she did a kip and then her flyaway, so that she could complete her routine.
That was a beautiful layout from her.
For her dismount.
Yep.
Botel just vaulted. And then Harrisburg, they're adjusting the vault table, getting ready for the next athlete to go.
Our senior Ashley Stanley is getting ready. Vaults are in place for her bar routine.
And her mount is in between the bars. Go ahead. So Brinley Sanderson, sophomore for Harrisburg, I don't believe that was Brinley. Brinley's going to get ready to vault. I believe that was the warm-up vault.
And Ashley's getting ready. She's going to kip to the bar and then switch kip.
That's a switch kip right there.
She does back hip circle into the squat on.
That squat on gets her to the high bar, where she does a push-away kip. And another push-away kip. Dawson's cheering over here. She did a flyaway, let go a little bit too soon.
A little bit too early for her.
And it ended up with a step. We have a Yurchenko vault for Harrisburg. That was Brinley. Looked really pretty. She looked really powerful going into the vault table. Had a nice block. A little teeny tiny step on her landing. So waiting for that score to come back. And then she gets a second vault. Same thing.
Watertown right now is adjusting the bars for Shauna.
And so Brinley's going now for Harrisburg again. Waiting for the judge. She's still scoring. She's going to give that flag. Coach is giving her a couple last comments on what to do and change and adjust. And there goes the green flag. And Brinley's going to vault. And again, this is a Yurchenko. And we're back over to the arrows on the bars.
Shauna's just giving a little warm up right now.
And so you'll see her like right there was doing a dead hang. This is her warm up, so it's okay if she drops and isn't following through on all those skills.
Marley is now going on the uneven bars.
This is Marley. She's a junior.
She also does a switch kip and she puts her feet on the bar just to keep them up and not drag them behind her.
Now a squat onto the high bar. Nice, tight, straight legs. And a beautiful flyaway with a stuck landing. Marley's got to be happy with that. That was a really tight bar routine. Vaulting for Harrisburg is Meredith Ruby. Meredith is doing a Yurchenko, and then you see her fly and hit the mat with her back. That is a warm-up skill. It does look like it hurts, but it's how the girls warm up, and then they hop back up on the vault table and then do a flip. Looks like she is going to do a pike out of that Yurchenko vault. So you'll see her do a flip in the air. Again, like I said, as we get into these varsity athletes, they're going to do bigger skills. You're going to see flips, which is really fun to watch. Really tough vaults to do. And the arrows are warming up on the uneven bars.
Shauna is going to get ready to compete as soon as the judge finishes up scoring.
And Shauna's the 8th grader on our team. She's competing varsity right now. And I think they're also getting ready for that second, or that first vault, actually. And that was a half on, or a full on, half on, half off. Excuse me, half on, half off. That was a really pretty vault. She got a nice block and a good distance. Shauna's on the uneven bars. And there is her flyaway, stuck landing. And you'll see a lot of the athletes, they're fighting, or sometimes they'll swing their arms just to kind of keep that landing, keep their balance.
Keep us stuck.
Keep a stuck landing. And the next athlete's warming up for the arrows. And it's difficult. Again, we apologize. It's difficult to see what athlete's coming up next on the vault. Here we go. We got Meredith again. So she's going to do that half on, half off with the Yurchenko entry. Actually, it looks like a full off.
Looks like a full.
It's a full off. Her first vault was a 9-1, which is a really good score for that vault. I think its start value was like a 9-7, if I remember right from back in the day.
Kinsley Van Gelder is getting ready to go on the uneven bars.
And again, you'll see Harrisburg setting up the vault table for their next vaulter to warm up. So here's Kinsley. She's waiting for the judge. And she's gonna do her mount onto the uneven bars from between. Lots of times they'll start in between so they can get a change in direction. So they start facing that low bar so that they can do that switch kip, which is a change of direction. Lots of girls, like Dawson said, put their toes up on that bar and then switch direction so their toes don't touch the ground. So we've got that vault rotation up on the scoreboard right now, showing that we had 9.1 as our high vault score. And so Kinsley's ready to go, and on the vault, it's Caitlin Mason. So Caitlin is gonna watch this. It's gonna be a pike. Ooh, a couple steps, but a really pretty distance.
And here's Kinsley. She's going to be the first one to pull some giants out.
So there's that first giant. You can see she's got the bent knees, but we're still getting all the way around, so that counts.
A couple little steps after, but beautiful layout.
Beautiful layout, lots of distance. All right. So arrows are warming up again on the uneven bars, and I believe Mason gets her second vault here. Caitlin's a freshman, really strong athlete for Harrisburg. Her first vault, the score is going to come around here shortly. I'm hoping I can see it, share it with you. You can see it as well. Again, this vault is a little more difficult, so her start value is going to be higher. It's going to be up there like a 9.8. If you take this vault and do it as a layout, which would be flat, that would be a 10.0 start value. And so she had a pike. That was probably a prettier vault. She didn't have as many steps at the end. Again, great height on that vault. So
Yeah.
nice job by Caitlin Mason.
Brianna McElhaney up on the bars.
So Brianna's waiting for the judge, standing in between those bars. Brianna's an 8th grader. Lots of times you can see girls playing with their grips. A little nervous habit, readjusting them, getting them to the right spot. And Harrisburg is done vaulting. And we're getting to the end of the arrows. And so she starts off. There's that switch kip for a direction change. Squat on to the high bar.
And she'll be another one that does giants. Very pretty handstand from her.
And look at how tight her legs are. Beautiful layout dismount. Nicely done. Kinsley Van Gilder looked like got a 7.45 on her routine. Nicely done. And I believe that is the last athlete for the arrows. And so each of the girls will go ahead and get warmed up. One team will go on the beam, the other team will go on the floor. Not every athlete competes every event. Dawson, what were your main events?
It was mainly floor and bars, I believe.
So we're back with our warm-up. Got to see some of our amazing aero athletes in action there. This is a great show to watch. When we look at floor and beam, you're going to see a little bit more personality coming out in each of these athletes. Vault and bars are pretty quick events, so you don't get to see a lot of personality. Just more skill-driven.
Yep.
But on the floor and the beam, they get to add a little bit of their personality. You'll get to see a lot more dancing, and they get to show off some of their skills and some of that more performance. And so you'll see some fun things happening.
Floor is the one to watch. It's the funnest one to watch.
And I always enjoyed the floor as well. It's always been my favorite to watch. The beam is my least favorite to watch. I know some people get really nervous watching the bars, but the bars didn't always bother me so much, but the beam, and maybe if my daughter had put glue on her feet, it would have been a little easier to watch. But it was fun. It was fun, but it makes you nervous. I've got some of the Harrisburg girls there on camera having fun. I like to see that because it means that they're loving what they're doing. And they're also up on the big screen in the gym, so they can see themselves when they're dancing. So speak of the devil, Brooke Bollinger just joined us. She's going to hop on the mic for a little bit. She can talk to us about how she felt when she was warming up on these two events. We might have to adjust her volume.
All right, what's up?
So Brooke is out of gymnastics from 2 years out now, but lots of these girls that she sees out here on the floor, she got to compete against or compete with for the arrows. We just finished watching uneven bars and vault. We got to see a Yurchenko pike from, I believe it was Meredith Ruby.
Okay.
It was a beautiful vault.
I'm seeing some nice folds on the floor.
Nice folds on floor.
We got a new floor.
We did get a new floor. We got a nice purple arrow floor.
I love it.
Previously, when Brooke competed for the arrows, it was blue. And then you'll see the girls again. We talked about before when this is their warm-up prior to their touches. So this is the team warm-up. And again, we're seeing both the JV and the varsity warm-up. So depending on how many athletes they have, if there's 10 athletes competing, they get 10 minutes for warm-up. And then again, they get those touches in between each athlete competing so that they aren't cold and tight in between. Dawson shared that the worst part about competing was that waiting for the judge
Oh, for sure.
to finish.
Yeah. That is why I competed second on beam.
So why did you not want to compete first?
Because I didn't just want to go first. So I went second because I got done and out of the way.
So she wanted to get done and out of the way. I said that
I didn't have to
watching the beam for mom was was the worst.
No, it was the worst to compete. I can tell you that.
Brooke either had an on year for beam or an off year for beam.
For sure.
So her senior year was, thank goodness, her on year. We got to see some awesome beam routines from her that year.
Yeah. Had a lot of off years actually.
A lot of off years on the beam.
Yeah.
What was your favorite event, Brooke?
Oh, depends on the day, but it was usually floor. But I really did like bars. I was a fan of bars. Oh, there's Dad.
So Brooke competed for the arrows, like we shared. Each of the events, she was a state champion on each of the events. Her senior year, she was state champion on floor, beam, and vault. She missed being state champion on the bars by 75 hundredths of a point.
Did get second.
She got second. And then she was an
Actually-
all-around champion. Her junior year, she did win the bars, though. We're going to see some awesome skills on the floor from Harrisburg. I am seeing some great tumbling. You can see them warming up right now.
Brooke, talk about what that extra mat is out there and why they have it.
That is a sting mat, and it helps just cushion your landing more. It also is just, it helps you position yourself on the floor so you don't run off the floor.
So when you're getting ready to do your skill, you're kind of aiming for the mat, that mat.
Yep.
If that mat, like right now, you can see, well, it's not on the camera right now, but right now the mat's out in the middle of the floor. But you'll see the girls move the mat. Now you can see it again. But if it's out in the middle of the floor, the
Yes.
mat has to stay on the floor.
Yes. So if the mat is touching one of the white lines, you can usually grab it and pull it off. But if it is in the middle of the floor like that, you do have to leave it there. So.
And that's what you see on the floor is a thinner mat. That's, I think, a sting mat is what
Yeah,
Brooke said. But they also will use a fatter, like 4-inch mat sometimes, depending on the aggressiveness maybe of the skill and how they're landing. We're seeing the arrows warm up on the beam. One of my probably least favorite skills on that beam is the
Full turn.
The full turn.
I think everyone can agree with that one. Even if you're 4 years old to 18 years old, you hate full turns.
And every routine on that beam should usually have some sort of a full turn.
Yes. It is a requirement.
It's a requirement.
Doesn't matter if you're level 3, level 10, you will have to have a full turn.
High school.
Doesn't matter.
Ooh, we saw a little fall there. Lots of times those girls, they learn how to fall. So when you see them fall like that, it does hurt, but they just pop right back up.
We're so used to it.
And you're going to see leaps and jumps on the beam, and leaps and jumps are going to have to change direction. So sometimes you'll see a half turn with their leap or jump, a 3/4 turn, a full turn in their jump. So they'll be changing directions.
Spinning.
Spinning. And then you'll also see connections. A connection on the beam is when they have one skill that leads right into another when they don't pause.
Yeah.
So you might see a connection from like a handstand to a back walkover, or a backhand, or handstand to a backhand spring.
Yeah, pretty much two skills that are connected.
Two
without
skills that are
pause.
connected. If there is a long pause in between, and it's kind of it's at the judge's discretion, but a long pause in between can cause that to not be a connection. If it's not a connection, then you take off of your start value.
Yes, you actually miss a event requirement, which is, I believe, 0.5. It's been a while.
It's been a while. And your start value on the beam is just like your start value on the vault or the uneven bars. Depending on what skills you have in there is where they start scoring you. So if you have all the event requirements, you could start out of a 10.0. But if you don't make a connection, then your start value goes down and you're also deducted. So it's almost a double whammy.
Sure.
So trying to make those connections and make those count is really important. You're going to see on the floor, athletes generally do a 3 passes for tumbling.
Yes.
Most of the time. Sometimes there'll be a 2-pass tumbling, but most of the time it's 3. And in their tumbling, they either have to have 2 or 3 requirements.
Yeah.
And they've got to have a forward pass,
Yep.
a backward pass,
Yep.
and then a you name it pass, whatever they want to do,
Yep.
whatever they're most comfortable with.
You gotta have different shapes. You can't just do all tucked positions. You have to either do a pike or a layout. Then you can add twisting in, and twisting gives it a harder difficulty. It gives you more points.
And then you'll also see a requirement on the floor, just like on the beam where you have to do a full turn on the floor.
Actually, I don't think you need to in high school.
Don't have to.
Nope. Club, I think you do.
Club you have to do. So there's a little bit different scoring requirements. We sometimes get mixed up in both because Brooke participated in both.
I did both. for a long
So we
time.
had to switch, or she, not me, she had to switch up some of her routines when she went back and forth. But you'll see handstand pirouettes.
Yes.
Those add a certain value. A pirouette, lots of times they'll do what's called a double pirouette, which means they just turn twice all the way around.
On their hands.
On their hands.
Not get confused with the dance pirouette, which is your.
A dance
It's a
pirouette
turn.
is just a turn.
Yes.
And the pirouette on your hands what they're looking for is the athlete to stay in one spot and turn in that one spot and not travel a whole bunch.
Yes.
They want to stay. Brooke was notorious for doing a very, very, very fast handspring pirouette.
Yes.
She used to tell me, Mom, I just want to get it over with.
Yes. I think also Watertown for a few years was known for having extremely slow pirouettes. And there was nothing wrong with it. We got them done, but
And you'll see some of the athletes will do a pirouette with their legs straight in the air.
Yep.
Some of them will do what almost looks like a bent knee, kind of an arrow shape.
just different poses.
Just different poses, whatever you're most comfortable with.
So,
But still looking for pointed toes, tight form.
yep. Usually followed up by a jump. It gives you a high to high bonus, high level back to back, which just means two hard skills that are next to each other.
And so we didn't talk about high level when we were doing bars and vaults. So you'll hear Brooke say high to high, which means a high level skill plus a high level skill, which gives you bonus points if you can do a high level skill along with another high level skill. She's asking for, she wants the judge's book in front of her so
I
she
need
can help.
I need a score sheet because I can look at it and tell you everything you need to know. I had to study those.
Maybe we'll have Dawson go down and get a score sheet for us, and then we can look at the score sheet for a beam and a bar.
Yeah.
Or beam and a, not a beam and a floor. Beam and a floor
Beam
score
and floor.
sheet.
So, but I studied that for years since what, 8th grade?
Yep.
8th grade.
8th grade.
And it's a whole different language that you do have to learn because it's just a bunch of scribbles on a piece of paper. And you gotta look at it and go, yep, I know what's going on.
And so Dawson and I did talk about that earlier when we were looking at score sheets. We said it looks like a different language.
It really is.
So if we look at the scoreboard right now, we're seeing that Brianna McElhaney got a 9-1 on the vault, so she's holding first place for the arrows at the vault. After that is Andrews and Van Gilder are both one with a 9. Andrews had a 9 and an 8.85 for Van Gilder. So those are great scores for the arrows. Those scores, they take those top scores to get the team score. Your score still counts for your individual, but they'll take the top athlete scores for the team score and then average all those together to get the team score.
Do you know if they're competing 5 or 7?
I believe they're competing 5 and 5.
5 and 5. All right. So if they're competing 5, you will take the top 4. I think you take top 4 no matter what.
I think so.
Even if you compete 7. It depends on the meet and how big the meet is. You can usually change it between 5 and 7 athletes performing on one event.
So I think tomorrow, because it's the 12-team invite, I think they'll compete 7 because it's just varsity tomorrow.
Okay.
So they'll compete the top 7. And so if you have an athlete fall off an apparatus or land on their butt, or we had an awesome vault earlier where one of our athletes sat on the vault table.
It happens.
It happens. That's what Dawson said. It happens. When that happens, you could drop that athlete's score from your team score. But then it kind of puts pressure on those athletes that are going afterwards to make sure that they stick their routine because now their score has to count or they have to take a fall in their scoring.
Once again, why I went first on B.
This is why she went first or second on B.
I didn't like the pressure of having to stay on. Because staying on was hard enough.
Yeah. She or Maya Morris went last on everything else. But
Yep.
there.
You can throw me last on any other event, but if you threw me last on beam, I think I might cry.
And most of the time, she just would stand in the chalk bucket before
I
she
really
had
would.
to.
I wouldn't watch
perform.
So Kinsley Van Gilder, who is still here.
Still here, yeah.
Still here.
And for another year yet.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Kinsley Van Gilder would always go first, and I would never watch her beam routine. Never. I couldn't watch it.
And Kinsley was always a very steady beam
She
goer.
was
So you always want to put an athlete up there that's going to be pretty solid right away. A lot like volleyball, it's kind of a momentum sport. So if one athlete falls, you might see a lot of athletes fall.
Yeah.
Just they kind of look at each other and they get that momentum from each other. Look at these vault scores. This is for Harrisburg. We had Caitlin Mason. She's the one that had the Yurchenko Pike vault. Had a 9.45. That was a beautiful vault. But again, that vault is way more difficult. And so her start score is out of a 9.8.
Yes.
Because it's a Yurchenko Pike vault, which means that her deductions start from a 9.8. Where some of these other vaults, like just a plain old Yurchenko is like a 9-2. And so their deductions start from that 9-2 spot and then go down from there. So a little bit more difficult. The harder vault you can get, the higher score you can get, obviously.
Yep.
And the arrows are still warming up, practicing those dismounts. We just saw practicing some of those dismounts. Carly Rumsa was just doing
That's
one.
who I thought that was.
That was Carly Rumsa.
Oh, cutie patootie. There's a lot of new faces for me here.
Not a lot of new faces and some old ones.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's good.
I've been out for 2 years, so that's all right. 2 years. It's crazy.
She still remembers all the skills.
I sure do.
So when I mess up the names, she'll correct me.
I still think I could go out and do my my bar routine and my floor routine, but I think I would humble myself.
I think I'm gonna test her on that later tonight.
I don't know. I didn't wear the proper gear.
No,
so.
not proper gear.
No.
And she's got to stretch.
I think I can do it.
If you look up on the screen right now, we got the vault scores again for the arrows. That Brianna McElhaney with that 9-1 on vault. So you'll see with Mason's score, that puts them up pretty high. Just with those vault difficulties, when you have an athlete who can put up some of those big vaults or big skills, that helps the team out quite a bit. And it looks like we're getting ready to go on floor. I believe this is athlete 102. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but we're going to go with that. I am wrong.
So it's very hard to see.
It's really tough to see which athlete's going here. I believe it is Macy Adlin, the 8th grader.
Sounds like, I feel like I just heard someone say, let's go Mace. So let's hope so.
All right, so you'll notice that the arrows are still warming up, but Macy's getting ready to go. Again, oh, I had a little music difficulty.
That's
so
all right.
Macy's off the floor.
There we go.
There we go.
Jamming a little too hard.
And that happens sometimes. You'll have music distractions or mess ups, and the athletes have to go with it. They can't start if the music messes up.
You just gotta sit there.
Gotta sit still.
That's all right.
All right, so Macy's going. And lots of times they start off with some dance routine in the beginning. This is where, like I said, they get to show off their personality.
Such a fun event.
This is her first tumbling pass.
Round off backhand, backhand. Good start.
Little extra bounce there at the end. We want to stick that, but she's got really pretty dance.
She's got pretty lines.
Pretty lines, smiling at the judge.
That was pretty. A full turn to a tuck 1.5, I believe.
And lots of times you'll see the girls dance into the corner so that they have enough room to do their tumbling passes. This is her forward tumbling pass. So this is a front hand.
Forward roll.
Forward roll.
Cartwheel.
There was something else in there.
There's a lot going on. So there's her leap pass, her leap series. I
Saw a
do
switch leap. And you can see lots of the athletes memorize because they watch over and over and over in the gym those athletes' routines. So you'll see on the sideline lots of the girls performing the exact same skills as the girls on the floor.
Yes.
And a nice ending to her routine.
Way to
Nicely
go.
done. And arrows are getting ready to go up.
Lyric.
Lyric is going first. Lyric is going to go on the beam, and Kira Legg, the 8th grader, will be going on the floor. So Lyric is up on the beam. Sometimes the most simplest mount is the best. There's the full turn.
There's the full turn. She did it well.
Full turn. Good
She
job.
did it well.
And so they kind of have to do a leap series on the beam. So this is her leaps.
There we go. We had a switch leap
Pulse.
to a tuck 3-4. I
There's
do
a-
think turning jumps are one of the hardest things to do on beam. And I did a back tuck on beam, so.
So the leaps were hard.
Jumps were hard for me.
Jumps were hard.
Keep it small and simple.
So far, doing a nice job. Little dance series. Again, they get to show off. They have the little arrow.
The little arrow.
Here's another jump.
Oh.
And that was one of those three-quarter jumps, and they're tough.
That's a wolf force. That's actually a advanced high, so that will give you 2/10 of a bonus on your start value. So
Now her feet touch, so she got credit for it, but she got a fall for it. And there's a back.
this was
Walkover.
This is our acro connection into our dismount.
So back walkover into her tuck dismount.
Yep.
So you have to have an acro connection. And now we're back on the floor. This is Kira Leg, 8th grader.
We'll double turn to a tuck full.
Backhand, backhand, back tuck.
And completely different vibe with the floor music. It just matches the athletes.
So they get to choose their own floor music. Lots of times athletes you'll see keep their floor music for a couple of years just to keep that routine. Of course, my daughter did not. She changed all the time.
I think my senior year, I performed every routine that I've ever done. At least once. It was a good little flashback into time.
Little variety.
So we got a front punch forward roll to a cartwheel. That'll get her forward direction for tumbling. Here's that pirouette we were talking about.
Oh.
They are hard.
They are hard, and that's hard. So she did her pirouette into a jump. So she had a wolf jump there. And then this is her third tumbling pass. Backhand, backhand, backhand.
Perfect. Where'd it go?
Handstand into her forward roll.
Well done.
Well done. Great smile to the judge at the end. Getting ready to go on the beam is Emma Scott. Emma Scott's a 7th grader,
She's so stinking cute.
and she's nervously waiting.
That's all right, girl. Me too.
And you can see on Emma, she's got what's called tiger paws on. What's the purpose of tiger paws, Brooke?
They are just like wrist guards. They help support your wrist. Just from aches and pains. There's a lot of impact on our wrist with tumbling and everything, so it just helps alleviate some of that.
And our first beam score was a 5.9. Remember, she had a fall in there.
That was her acro series, that handstand back walkover. That's a event requirement.
That's a connection. So there was no pause in between.
Gorgeous.
And there's that full turn. Now you'll see she does it a little different. She puts her hands at her side. Some of them put their hands above their heads. Some of them are out to the side.
And there's her dismount. Short and sweet, like I like it.
Short and sweet. Get in all those requirements that you need and get off.
I did the smallest amount of dance as possible, so I could just get on and get off.
I believe Brooke did the highest amount of requirements in the least amount
Yep.
of I don't know, events or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So beam, you do have a max time requirement. You can be on the beam, so it's a minute 30. And most people don't know this, but there is a minimum amount of time, and I think it's like 30 seconds.
I think it's 30.
It's nobody really knows because it's not really heard of being on the beam for 30 seconds, but I did push it a few times.
And most of the time the girls want to get on and get off, but if you fall, that time still keeps running. So they do pause the time and then you can get back on, but lots of times you can go over time. On the floor, we've got Miranda, and waiting to get on the beam is Carly Rumsa, but Miranda's going right now on the floor.
You can see those tiger paws there. They're more common on floor and vault because those are very high impact, but they're also common on beam.
And the last floor routine got a 7.5.
Backhand, backhand, back tuck. Well done.
Couple steps on that landing. Like to see those stuck landing, but you can see her teammates performing with her, which always gives them a little more confidence. They feel a little bit more at home.
There's that front punch, forward roll, cartwheel.
So that's her forward pass.
Yep.
And Carly's getting ready to go on the beam, so she'll start on the beam. And, you know, the tough thing is music's going and other athletes are going on different events, and Carly's got to focus on the beam. And that's probably the hardest one to focus on because you're on a 4-inch wide
Yes.
surface. So we had a little jump series there.
Carly just did her acro series, a cartwheel to a cartwheel. That gives her that connection. I
And
do
Mar-
think on beam, I never really heard any floor music ever. You're so zoned into what you're doing.
And focus. So Carly just did her 3/4 jump.
There's that full turn.
Oh,
See, it's
she
tough.
holds it. And Carly is really good at the beam. This is one of her favorite events. I should speaking for her, but I know that that's one. And I think I just jinxed her. So she just fell off on that leap.
It's all right.
But if you look at Carly's toes, she's got great pointed toes when she's walking. They're looking for an athlete to stay on their toes on the beam. She just did a
Becky handspring to a tuck for her dismount.
dismount. So she's going to have a fall in that, so that's 5/10 deduction off of her start score.
No matter what event you do, if you do fall, it is a 5/10 deduction.
So everything is a 5/10 when you fall. And if you can fall on the floor.
You sure can. I did it. Did it once or twice. No one's perfect.
And I believe, trying to see who our next athlete is on, I think it's Kennedy Malloy is going to be up for
Looks like it,
Harrisburg.
I think.
And on the beam will be Ariana Schneider. And again, there's those touch passes or touch warm-ups, touches for
Really?
each of the athletes in between. So
They're
while
only
the judge
30
is
seconds.
scoring, the athlete that is going in between or next gets to warm up. So Kennedy's getting on the floor, and Ariana's getting ready, waiting for the judge so we can see Ariana. She's just patiently waiting, and as Kennedy starts, ooh, she's got some personality in her music.
A little sass. We love a good little sass.
Ooh,
That's
that is
fun.
a great move.
Last
And again, those are
14
just dance moves.
Yes. They're not actual skills, so. Last floor routine got a 7.45.
Excellent.
So that was a front layout, so that was different from what we've seen in the past with all the tucked positions. That was the laid out position.
And again, you saw only 2 skills in that pass because that layout is a little more difficult.
Yes.
She doesn't have to have 3 skills in her pass, just 2. And again, she dances into the corner. You don't want to just walk into the corner as an athlete. You want to have that dance. Backhand, backhand, back layout.
So now for her third pass, they're going to want to look at something that's other than a laid out position. So yes, you can do the harder skill, but they would like to see some variety.
So it was a wolf jump. Here's her last pass.
And you see there, she did a tuck instead of a layup.
So it was a different skill. So showing off all her skills.
Way to go.
And then the Harrisburg growl at the end of her routine. And on the beam is Ariana right now. And Ariana is going. And she just did her back tuck dismount.
Way to go. Love
Good
the bubble
job.
braids.
Love the bubble braids. I think that the girls had different hairdos for every meet.
Fun.
Sometimes they had space buns, sometimes braids, sometimes ponytails.
Usually with smaller meets, they're a little less intense, so you can have a little more fun and creative hairstyles.
And
But-
Shauna's warming up on the beam. Yes, go ahead.
But for those bigger meets, you do want to stay focused. You want your hair to stay out of the way, so.
I believe when Brooke performed on the bars, her hair was
Too long.
too long. And so sometimes when she was doing like a kip to a handstand, her hair would be on the bar.
It would touch the bar.
So she would have to put that up in a bun. Ooh. You saw her fall. Again, these girls have practiced on the beam so many times that they kind of have a controlled fall.
She is just doing her 30-second touch, so the judge is still judging.
So the judge is judging the previous routine, and that was her touch. And now she got off. She'll probably go to a line somewhere on the floor and practice.
Keep doing your dance. Stay focused.
And this is Layla Vincent. She's getting ready to go for Harrisburg on the floor.
A lot of 8th graders,
A lot of 8th graders, one freshman.
which is good.
That's great. And you can see her adjusting, standing, waiting, hoping the judge is ready. And she's got the green flag to go. So Layla's going to go. 8.55 for that last floor routine.
Way to go.
And the arrows are also going on the beam. And
Yeah.
it's Ella Palmquist.
Gorgeous full turn.
She did that like nothing.
I'll give props to anyone who can do a beautiful full turn because I struggle.
Oh, she just saved her leap. Oh, but fell. And remember, she's performing on this beam right now while there's a floor routine going on and music and cheering. So it was a front walk over to a front walk over. So that's her acro series, right?
Yes, that is her connection.
And a back tuck off. We're flipping back over to the floor here.
So I do believe that was a double full turn to
Looked like a wolf.
I don't know. It happened so fast. So front punch, step out, round off, back tuck. That will also count as a front pass, even though it does have back tumbling in it.
Brooke had that move in her routine
sure
at one
did.
time. And a little dance into the corner,
Going
and her
into her-
teammates doing the same thing.
Third pass here, round off layout. It was beautiful. That was a fun routine.
That was a really fun routine. You can see her personality coming out. But in all of that dance, they're still looking for pointed toes, straight legs, great smile,
Yes.
looking like they're having fun out there. So and so both events, the athletes are just warming up. Going next on the beam for the arrows is going to be Shauna Evenson, who's an 8th grader. Oh, we got a wave, Brooke. So Shauna's waiting at the beam, and she's got the green flag. And again, just a simple dismount. Sometimes those bigger dismounts can cause deductions. So sometimes just hopping up on the beam is the easiest thing to do.
Here's our acro series, a back handspring. Was not a series, just was the flight. Judges
This
do
is a
look for
series.
flights.
So
Here we
this
go.
is a handstand,
To a back walkover.
and that's the acro series.
That's
So
the
they
acro
stayed
series.
connected. So she didn't have a pause between those two skills. Beautiful leaps. Notice Shauna is on her toes when she is walking.
Good full turn.
That was her 3/4 turn with a leap, and those are tough. Again, she fell off. So that's a half-point deduction. She's going to do it again, though.
Sometimes doing it again gets you that requirement or bonus, which still bumps up your start value. So even though you did fall, you can do it again to get that bonus.
And sometimes as the athletes get older, they kind of know if they fall, I'm going to have to up my dismount, and so they'll do a more difficult dismount to up their score. So as the athletes get older, they kind of learn those kind of things. Then a front
Beautiful.
layout dismount.
Yes. Yeah, I can say for sure a few times on beam I did fall, and I did while I was competing had to figure out what requirements I was missing, what bonuses I was missing, and I would just have to pull out skills that I knew filled those requirements, even without warming them up. And that's just part of being aware of where you are in your beam routine or floor routine and what you can do to still better your score, even though you did fall.
Yep. So we're warming up on beam right now. Harrisburg is performing on the floor. It's hard to see the number. I think it is Kennedy Malloy. She's got a cute little routine there. There's her ending. After each performance, you see at the end, the athlete salutes the judge, kind of like their thank you and telling them that that's the end. I'm done. I'm out of here. Again, we're still warming up on that beam. This is that touch. And Marley's just waiting off to the side. And I believe all the JV athletes for Harrisburg have gone. So Jersey Tryon is going to go for Harrisburg first. She is a freshman. And Marley is waiting to go on the beam.
Very random side note, but I'm pretty sure Harrisburg got new Leos, and they're very pretty.
It is important to talk about the Leos. Those
It
are fun.
is.
All right, so Marley's on the beam. One thing about Marley, her toe points are amazing. They're almost overextended.
Yes.
And you'll see the coach standing there. The coach can stand right by the athlete. That's okay. If they touch the athlete, though, it is a deduction. She made that look like it was on purpose, which is good. If you make it look like it's on purpose, it isn't a deduction.
Nobody knows your routine but you.
And so that full turn went a little beyond, so it was like a 1 1/4, but she played it off as that was on purpose.
Yes.
Beautiful leap.
One thing you are trained to do is if you bobble, try to make it look like dance. Because if the judge can't tell and the judge just thought you were dancing, that's less deductions for you.
So that was a beautiful leap, and she landed with a 1/4 turn on that leap. That was a wolf jump. Oh, she's trying so hard to hold on. Remember, if she has a big bobble, that might be 3/10 of a point, but when she falls, that is 5/10 of a point. So it just depends how big the bobble is.
Sometimes if you bobble and then you fall, you do get the deductions of the bobble added onto the deduction of the fall. So it can actually add up to like 7 or 8/10 taken off. So sometimes it's just better to fall, which sounds so bad, but
we said that on the bars too. Sometimes if you're at a dead hang, it's better to fall and start over.
yes.
Harrisburg's going on the floor. This is Jersey. She's got some great music and some great dance. She's already done a couple tumbling passes. She's getting ready for this other tumbling pass here.
I do believe it's her 3rd tumbling
I think so too. Her teammates are dancing with her.
Round up by back tuck. Good stick though.
It's a Shushinova, and that ends her routine.
That Shushinova is a skill, but a lot of people do it just for a little pizzazz. But if you do it wildly wrong, you can get deductions for it.
So here's a replay of her backhand, back tuck. Notice her feet were a little apart, so the judges are looking for your feet to be together and tight on those landings.
If you can control those landings, that's always good to see.
Landings are important.
They are.
Ashlyn Andrews is going to be next up on the beam. And the athlete doesn't have to stand right next to the beam right away. If the judge is scoring and they know, they don't have to get right up there. You'll also see a coach or an athlete mark with chalk on the beam, kind of marking their spot.
Yes.
Lots of times they'll do that for their tumbling pass, so they kind of know where to start. It's just their way of measuring where they're at on the beam.
I always did it for my dismounts. That way I didn't do my dismount off the end of the beam.
Didn't fall off the end.
Yep.
So,
Beautiful full turn.
and Ashlyn just did a simple mount under the beam. Again, sometimes the simpler the better.
Let's switch side to a straddle jump. It's actually, I think that's a
High to high.
high level back to back. So she gets a 2/10 bonus added onto her start value.
And that was her acro series, cartwheel, cartwheel. again, here's the leap series. Again, no pause in between those so they have to leap and not pause.
It was a peg jump to a wolf jump, which is a low level back-to-back. And if you fulfill all of your low levels, you get 2 tenths added on.
And a backhand spring dismount and a great stuck landing.
Beautiful routine. Back on floor.
This might be Jersey. It's tough to see those numbers. Or Lily. I think it's Lily. It's hard to see if it's a 714 or a 704.
So we got a, I forgot what the skill's called. So like it's not called a granny, but that's what I always called it. It's basically just a round off with no hands, and then she did a back tuck out of it.
And again, this is just her dance. They can make up whatever dance they want.
We got a front punch. That gives her bonus on her start value because it's 2 connected skills, and they're hard.
And they're hard. High to high.
High to high. That's a strug to a tuck jump. That strug by itself is a advanced high. So that's also some bonus onto her start value. And that tuck jump after it was just to add to a series.
And notice again, she dances into the corner. Try to keep those athletes moving and dancing and not just walking into the corner to get ready for their skill. So here comes her next tumbling pass. Front layout to a forward roll. That front layout is a high level skill. So she follows that by just a forward roll to fulfill her skill.
Back on beam, we got Caroline Benson, otherwise known as Carol. Switch leap to a wolf 3/4 that will count as a high level back-to-back, and it will also, per wolf 3/4, count as a advanced high.
Beautiful full turn. She made that look too easy.
Now, I think I know this just from experience. I'm pretty sure Carol does not like beam, but she is doing a wonderful job.
And so backhand, she got a little off on there. That would have been her connected acro series.
So now she is missing that. No. Yes.
So her start score goes down
Yes.
because her acro series. She had a round off to a back tuck dismount. And so up next on the beam for the arrows is going to be Ashley Stanley. She's one of our seniors. So is Carol Benson. And on the floor, I believe, is going to be Kara Woolrink. Or Woolbrink.
There is a B in there.
There is a B in there. My glasses aren't working quite as well as they need to be.
That's all right.
So you heard the Aero girls cheer there. That was a warm-up. I believe she did an aerial. So she's just practicing those skills that she wants to make sure she has down. And on the floor, here goes her first tumbling pass. That was a, go ahead.
Front pull to a forward roll. So that front pull is an advanced high.
Now notice that Matt's gonna stay out there.
Unless the coach can reach without
going onto the floor.
Yes, without touching the floor. I think you can reach across the white line, but she just cannot touch that floor. Or she can. I don't know. It's been a while. I don't know the actual rules.
And then on the beam right now is Ashley Stanley. Ooh, that was pretty.
It's a back full.
So she's got a lot of twisting elements. Those are adding to her value. There's another Shushanova. Lots of times those girls add them in because they are full of pizzazz, if you will.
On floor, it is required to have a flip that has at least a half turn in it. So both of her tumbling passes so far have had full turns in them, but she at least meets that minimum requirement of a half.
And then notice that last pass, she had a back tuck, so she had to do something different, so they had variety. So she had backhand, back tuck.
Also on the scoring sheet, they do like to see you end your routine in some difficulty. So a lot of athletes do finish with their easiest tumbling pass
Because they're tired.
because you're tired. It's a lot of work, but judges can look at that and judge their own discretion how they feel you ended your floor routine. Sometimes you can get deductions for ending with your easiest pass.
Oh, Ashley held on tight to that leap.
She sure did. But if you do end your routine in some difficulty, judges will most often praise you for it and not take deductions. So
I'm going to front punch dismount. She kind of gave a sigh of relief as she got off that beam. Like, whew, that routine is over.
me too, girl.
It is kind of a relief when you get off. And so on both the floor and the beam, athletes are warming up. Saw backhand, back walk over. Coming up on the beam is going to be Cameron. And on the floor is going to be Caitlin Mason. And Brooke might be a Caitlin Mason fan.
I am a Caitlin Nation fan.
From years ago. Caitlin's a great athlete. Both the Mason girls competed with Brooke for many years. So
Her older sister Emma just always got hurt.
so it's kind of fun to watch.
So I don't remember Emma's last full season because she was out for a while.
So shout out to Emma Mason. Hopefully her knees are doing well.
Hopefully your knees are doing great, sweetie. So, but the Mason girls are very sweet, very nice
Awesome.
people. So
I think Brooke made a lot of great friends doing gymnastics. Her first roommate in college was a gymnast from another team and is still one of her very good
Yep.
friends. So you make a lot of good friends
You
doing
do.
this. So this is Caitlin Mason on the floor.
she is a freshman.
And Caitlin's a freshman. You're going to see some big tumbling passes from
She's got-
her. She's a strong gymnast.
Very powerful. Starts with a 1.5, a gorgeous 1.5.
Landed tight. And look at that personality coming out in her dance. Her teammates are following with her.
There's that strug again to that straddle jump. Gives you advanced high and a high level back to back.
Even the coach is dancing over there. I love it.
Next pass, we have a front layout. Gives you that front pass. Can tell you from experience, Emma has Caitlin, she has personality and is a very sassy dancer, but does her well.
So this pass can be whatever she wants. So backhand, back tuck, because she did her forward tumbling pass requirement and her back tumbling pass requirement. Beautiful pirouette. That was awesome.
To that wolf full. That counts as a high level back to back. All of these just add bonus to your start value.
And look at that. Look at the judge when she ends. Wonderful job.
Gorgeous routine.
We ended with a beautiful beam routine over here as well. Caitlin Rudebush is warming up on the beam, but going next on the beam is going to be Brianna McElhaney. We might have a replay here for you. This is that backhand, back tuck. That was her third pass. Again, that could be a pass of her choice. So lots of girls end with that backhand, back tuck. It's a pretty reliable tumbling pass.
It is. It also counts as a low level back to back.
Again, giving you
So-
bonus points for your score.
So if you meet all of your event requirements and you get all of your bonus points, which is 0.8, if you meet all of that, you do start out of 8 to 10.
And most girls, I believe, on floor do start out of a 10.0
Yes.
at the varsity
Yep.
level. It's a little more difficult on the vault and the bars and even the beam sometimes to get that 10.0 start value. But on the bars and the vault, definitely
I
tough.
would say bars is definitely, me personally, bars is the hardest to get into. You have to have pretty big skills.
A lot of skills to start with, yes. All right, so on the beam right now is Brianna. And again, the other thing they're looking for on the beam is for the athlete to go from a low level on the beam to a high level. So she started off on her knees and then stood up. So
But can't swing back well for her as her athlete
ooh, nice leaps. And those connected. She's got a little dance. Another switch leap. Saved it. There's her arrow for Watertown arrows. And her dismount.
It's a foot full. Does give you that advanced high.
Over on the floor, this is Kaya Botel, another athlete that Brooke got to compete against quite a bit.
I competed against her cousin for a while back. We actually went to college for gymnastics.
Kaya also, you'll see, she's had some great tumbling passes, some really pretty skills.
There's a shrug to a split full. That is a very hard leap series to do. Kai has very good lines, nice pointy toes.
Great dance.
Great dance, very exaggerated. Gorgeous strategy with 10 that pass.
Look at her facial expression too.
Oh, that was fun.
And that shows that what she just did there and her ending shows a lot of her flexibility. So you're demonstrating her flexibility to the judge as well. When she landed in a split and then came up and grabbed her leg, showing that flexibility to the judge. And that facial expression while she's dancing, it's that's that execute or bonus or composition that the judge can add in there when the athlete looks like they're having fun and entertaining everyone. On the floor for Harrisburg next will be Brinley Sanderson, and on the beam is Caitlin Brudebush. Just a simple dismount again. Dismount, I said dismount.
You did
Yep,
say
mount.
dismount. Mount. You gotta mount the beam before you can dismount it.
Yep, got to get on before you can get off.
Last beam routine got a 905.
Great.
It's good beam sport.
Oh, and again, those leaps, I think they're the hardest.
They are. I think I'd prefer to tumble on beam before I would prefer to do jumps.
Keep in mind that is 4 inches wide, so right there is a good camera angle of how very little room there is. She's on her tippy toes on the side of the beam there. Cartwheel, cartwheel, that's her acro series.
Well done. That's a lot harder than you actually think it would be.
It looks so simple.
It looks so simple, but you try it. I've tried it even on the floor and I've struggled with it.
There's that arrow for the Watertown arrows, and this will be her dismount.
We're gonna round off tuck. Well done.
And
nice
a stick! She hung on to that.
She
You
did.
gotta sell that.
That
Gotta
round off
sell it.
dismount gives you a flight, which if you don't have like a back handspring or a back tuck, that round off does get you that.
Fulfill that requirement.
Yes.
Brinley is waiting on the side of the floor over there. She's on now. Waiting for her music to start.
First pass here.
Wow.
Round up backhand, 1.5.
Had a couple steps out of that, so what they want to have is that as a stuck landing, but she still stayed in bounds. That white line is out of bounds.
That was a front layout to a front punch. If you do go out of the white line or the out of bounds, depending on how far you go out, you get deducted a certain amount. So if you take a little step out, you might get a 10th or 2. But if you completely run off the floor, you can get up to 5 or 7 tenths.
There was a
Even
halter.
Simone Biles does it.
Even Simone Biles goes out of bounds.
So the floor might look big, but from that corner to corner, trying to fit a tumbling pass is a lot harder than it looks.
And especially if you have to get 3 skills in,
Right.
sometimes it's tough.
You only get like 2 or 3 steps, and that's all the running you get.
And then you got to have enough power to make it through.
Yes.
So notice she's dancing back into the corner. She's getting ready.
So sometimes you can use a sting mat like she did to give you a little more extra spring. So she actually used it to punch off of instead of punching off just the floor. And
That was a front 1.5.
that was a front full.
Front full. Full
So.
is only 1, not 1.5. So that was a front full. And you'll notice all those girls have different leotards on. That's okay. When it's a duel like this, they can choose what kind of leotard they want to wear as long as they're wearing their school colors. So each girl's kind of showing their personality off tonight with the Leos that they're wearing.
We got throwback. It was one of my favorite meets was the throwback.
Yep, so Kinsley's on the beam right now. She's got a throwback Leo on.
The Leo she is currently wearing is the crushed velvet that the seniors will strictly take away from any underclassmen. So you'll see
the
a lot of
upperclassmen are wearing
you'll
the
see a lot of
crushed
the
velvet
seniors.
Leo.
Yes, a lot of the seniors wearing that Leo. I think it's one of the only Leos that has held up throughout the years.
That was a great dismount
Way to go,
from Kinsley. And a great smile there at the end.
So.
Notice now Kinsley was the last athlete on the beam. When Brooke used to go, Kinsley used to be the first athlete, but now she is up there in years. She is a junior and one of the anchors of the team, so she was the anchor routine because she's usually pretty steady on that beam. I can barely count the number of times that Kinsley fell off the beam. She's pretty steady beam goer. All right, on the floor for Harrisburg is Meredith Ruby, another one of Brooke's competitors from the past. 9-4 on that last floor routine.
We got a 1.5 to a front punch. Landed a little short on it, but that's all right.
Still good points for the
difficulty.
The difficulty.
But she will take that 0.5 for that fall.
Yep. And you did see the coach step on and take that sting mat off, so she didn't have to go out too far on the floor. If you can take a step and then take it off, it's okay. And notice all her teammates dancing with her.
Here's our second tumbling pass.
So this is Meredith's forward tumbling pass.
Right hand from punch forward roll. And sometimes that forward roll just helps control the power out of a front hand from punch or whatever skill you're doing. Sometimes they're also intentional, sometimes they're not.
You want to make it look intentional.
You want to make it look intentional.
If it wasn't intentional and you had too much power coming out, you do a forward
you
roll
do a
and
forward
you
roll
make it look good.
and you make it look good.
And this is her third tumbling pass.
Just a round off full, very nicely done.
And that added a twisting element, so something different. So the variety in her routine. Excellent routine. High five from the coach. Here's our instant replay. So that forward roll was intentional.
It was intentional.
in her pass.
Yes, some girls do it to get bonus just for high-level back-to-backs or low-level back-to-backs. Some girls like me just sometimes have too much power, and you have to fit a forward roll in a 2-foot span.
And make it look intentional.
And stay in bounds.
Come out smiling and stay in bounds. So we've wrapped up the floor in the beam. You'll notice that the arrows will be ending on the floor. That's intentional. Lots of times, or historically, I will say, the arrows have liked ending on the floor. They get a lot of energy from each other. They like to cheer each other on, and so floor is what they like to end on. Often they don't like to end on beam. Beam's tough.
No. Floor is just, it's I would say maybe a lot less stressful than beam or bars. So you can at least let loose a little and have fun.
And so now we're going to do that warm up again. As you're watching the floor, you're going to see multiple athletes on the floor warming up, doing their tumbling passes. You'll see them step off to the side and do their dancing. Brooke, did you play the music in your head as you were warming up, like your own, or did you just go through the skills?
I usually went through the skills. I would try to do least amount of passes as possible.
So you didn't get tired out?
Yep. Also, just because I was like, well, I've already done it. I don't
100 times in the gym.
Yeah, it's like, I don't need to do it 3 more times. Unless it was bad, then I would do it more. And then after that, depending on how much time we had left, I would go through my leaps and jumps a few times, my pirouettes. And then if we still had time, then I would go through my dance, kind of just using that last few minutes that we usually have.
And you'll see every girl has just sort of a different, it's like shooting a free throw. It's that routine that they go through before they perform. So you'll see these girls, when you've watched them over and over, they're going to do the same warm-up. They do that same thing every time. Woo, Kinsley. There's that extra power
There's that
coming out of
power.
those tumbling passes. So it's kind of fun to see. You know she's got a lot of power coming in. And lots of times there's a lot of nerves. And so sometimes there's extra power.
Yeah, that adrenaline does wonders.
Can really get going.
Because doing a full floor routine at practice is so much more difficult than when you do it when you're competing. Because that adrenaline kicks in, and all of a sudden you have so much more energy.
And you'll see Harrisburg hasn't touched the beam yet, so they haven't started their timed warm-ups. But you'll see the girls warming up. That doesn't count. They're on the floor, so they're not touching the apparatus. But you'll see those girls are out there finding lines, pretending that those lines are the beam. And honestly, those lines on that basketball court are not much wider, or not much skinnier, excuse me,
Yep.
than what the beam is. So if you see them doing pirouettes, back handsprings on lines, it's just because they're practicing staying on that beam.
Really working on that dance, making it beat.
That's the tough part. Like, if you get deducted on your dance, that's just the pretty stuff that you're adding in, and you don't want to lose points on that.
Just a double on floor.
That was from Shauna. Front tuck from Caitlin.
A branny. That's what it's called.
A branny.
Yeah, but I called it a granny.
A branny. So
A
that
branny.
branny looks like that round off. It's like an aerial is
Yeah.
a no-handed cartwheel. A branny is a no-handed round off.
Yes. You
See, if
take-
we didn't have Brooke here, I wouldn't have ever got that.
I had to process that one. for a
I
little
can
bit.
do a lot of the terminology, and I can get a lot of it figured out after 15 years of watching gymnastics. But some of those terms don't ever come to me.
They're not very common skills.
Yeah, you don't see
But-
brannies a lot.
No, you don't. Because they're not worth much more than just doing a round off.
So you might as well put your hands on the ground
Might as
and
well just put your hands on the ground.
spring off of that.
But sometimes they do get you that bonus that you're
Yeah. And lots of people, the judging of gymnastics is really subjective. So even after watching many, many years, many gymnasts perform, sometimes there are things that we don't know or don't know that are missing. And so, you know, when you see big skills, when you see big skills happening, you know, oh, that's going to be a good routine. But sometimes the difference between a routine is pointed toes,
Yep.
different dance, how they travel on the floor, if they're using the whole floor or just part of the floor.
especially with floor. When I competed, there was a lot of very, very close scores, and it would come down to the little things like how well you stuck a landing, or how pointed your toes were, how clean and sharp you stayed, especially with floor, because it does come down to like .025 a lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
Usually at like
Thousandths of a point.
Yeah, usually at state it would go like a 9.8 and then a 9.775 and a 9.75. It would just make its way down. Just 'cause. A lot of ties on floor too.
A lot of ties on floor. And
So-
earlier in the broadcast, we talked about tonight we only have one judge on each event. And one judge is nice, and sometimes not so nice. There's only one person to see what you're doing. So if the judge doesn't catch all of your requirements, that's not good. But the coaches can also contest a
Yes.
score.
So, yeah.
But when you get to the bigger meets, like we'll have tomorrow with the 12-team invite, you're going to have a couple judges at each event, and then when you get to state, it's even up to 4 judges on each event, and then they eliminate the high and low score. If it's 2 judges on an event, they'll average the 2 scores together. And there are parameters that their scores have to be in. So if you're going to give an athlete a 9.75 and the other judge is giving the athlete a 9.0, they're too far apart. And so
They have to talk and kind of find like a little middle ground.
yeah.
Or if they miss something, then
And the
they
other
talk
judge
that
caught
over.
it, so then
Yep.
they talk it over. So tomorrow when you're watching the broadcast, you might see a little bit longer in some of the judging because they do have to discuss because their scores have to be within a certain range of each other. Lots of times, though, these judges have worked together many years. Both of the judges out there on the floor right now, Brooke had as judges. So they've been doing this for quite some time.
Yep.
And they're pretty good at knowing each other and knowing what the skills are and catching everything. So
And there is just different types of judging. I know I had a few judges that I knew were always going to be tough, and my scores were going to always be a little lower than what I was expecting. Sometimes there was more lenient judges, so you can kind of expect higher scores. But they're all usually pretty consistent and fair.
so if it was a tough judge, you know that they're going to be tough for every athlete out there. If it was a lenient judge, they were going to be lenient for everybody. And I know there were some judges that we would hope that the judge was judging on floor and not bars or something different.
So usually when you compete for so long, you can pick up on certain things that judges look for. So I know that a few of my judges really cared about clean, tight, pointed toes. They didn't so much care for how big of skills you were doing. They wanted to see that you could do them and do them clean. Other judges would look at or were more.
They like the big skills.
They like the big skills. They want to see you
show off.
Show off. So, we would know the judges before we would even go to the meet. So then we would sit down and say, so and so is on this event, so we got to really focus on straight legs and pointed toes and staying clean, no bobbles. But this judge is on this event, so let loose. So
let loose and show your personality.
Yes.
And there were some judges that really, really liked personality and that showing off of everybody.
There was one judge, I'm not gonna say her name, but she was just known for never smiling, and she's a very, very nice judge. She just wasn't a smiler. So when she would judge us on floor, it was a goal to at least make her grin during your floor routine.
If you got a grin, you know you were doing
You're
well.
doing pretty good. I don't think I ever did.
I think your senior year you got a good look from her.
Yeah, maybe. But so, and you get to know your judges pretty well.
And the judges get to know the athletes because they do. These judges travel around to all the meets, and so they see these athletes over and over again. And you know, lots of these girls are competing since 7th grade, so you've got 6 years of watching an athlete perform, watching them grow and develop in their skills. And I know when Brooke graduated, we had judges come up to her crying that they were going to miss her, and they enjoyed watching her grow up.
And
there was another double on the floor.
They always try to coerce you into, come judge.
Come judge, come judge.
Yep.
Someday maybe that'll happen.
I would love to. I think it would be fun, but
for now we're going to stick to the YouTube channel for the arrows.
Right? Maybe I need to pick this up as my side job.
You never know. They might fire us after tonight.
That's right.
All right, we got those floor scores up there. Look at that 9.4 from Sanderson, and Mason got a 9.3 and a 9.2. Why do we have Mason up there twice? 705 Mason. I don't know if she got a 9.3 or 9.2. It's a mystery. We'll find out later.
I think I'm going to go with a 9.3.
I think I'm going to go with a 9.3
I'll give her
as
the
well.
benefit of doubt.
Yes. So, we got that. She's up there twice, so we got a little error there. But that's okay. We'll find out who that is. Oh, did they fix it? No.
I just took it off.
So that Emma, or not Emma. See, we keep saying Emma because we watched her so much. That's
I wish I
Caitlin.
was watching. Hear us saying that.
Yes. Caitlin up there we got her up there twice with a different score. So, I don't remember what her score was. So, and Harrisburg has started on the beam, so they're doing their timed warm up on the beam. And every athlete, like we said, every athlete doesn't always perform on every apparatus. So there are what are called all-around athletes, which means that they perform all around every single event. So like we said, the Olympic rotation would be vault, bars, beam, and floor. So they would perform on everything. Sometimes you have specialists. So a specialist would be an athlete that just performs on 1 or 2 or even 3 of the events. They might not perform on the 4th one. So what you're doing as a coach is you're looking at who is going to score the highest for you on each event. So you're going to just put the top 5 athletes or 7, whatever you're competing that day, the ones that can score the highest for you on each event. And sometimes there is an athlete that can score high for you on every event. So they become your all-around athlete as well. Those athletes then are eligible for the all-around award, but the specialists are not. But they can still, win their event. If they're just a bar specialist, they can win bars. Lots of times in college, you'll see athletes specialize in events.
Yep, it's a lot more common in college just because they're recruiting athletes and stuff. So.
Yeah, and they're looking for somebody to fill a spot, so they need an athlete who can do bars, and they need an athlete who can do beams, so they will specialize in an event or 2. There are some of those rare athletes that get to that college level and can just rock every event, and that's really fun.
It does cause some internal competitiveness, which is good. You need to have competition.
Yeah, so they're competing
in your team.
You're competing for your spot on the team. I'm going to just kind of reflect like on wrestling. If you're at that same weight class, they do have wrestle off. So you wrestle off for that position that, whatever weight class you're in for your team. Same with gymnastics. They're competing with their teammates to get on that competitive position for floor or whatever it is. So there's the beam scores up. Andrew's got a 9.15. McElhaney, 905, Brianna. And Kinsley Van Gilder got an 885. So you can see those top 3 scores up there. Those are nice high scores for the arrows. You'd like to see all of your top scores in the 9s, because those are your scores that count. But those are really close to 885. You're not much closer, so that's really good. Oh, it's another really pretty full turn on the beam as the girls are warming up.
They still haven't changed floor score.
Floor scores are still the same. There's a little
Way to
air
go.
there, but
Way to
that's
go,
okay.
Caitlin.
Caitlin got a double score for her team. You can't see, but in the gym off to the side, there's also a low beam. It's a beam that's just barely off the floor. Couple inches off the floor. The girls can use that beam as well to warm up. It's a nice beam to just do some of your skills on so that you still get that feel. Oh, did we fix it? We fixed it.
There we go.
So Kaya Botel got that 9.3, and Emma Mason got a 9.3. So we were right. Emma did get a 9.3. So there are 2 9.3s up there. Oh no, she got a 9.2. Now we're switching it.
Darn it.
We're just keeping you on your toes, people. 9.3, 9.2, 9.2, 9.3. So 9.2 for Caitlin Mason, Kaya Botel with the 9.3, and then Sanderson with that 9.4. Those are awesome floor scores for that team. That sets them up really well for a good win. And we don't have the team scores. We don't have team scores up yet because we have one event to go. Sometimes you can figure out what each team needs for that final score. If you have a scorekeeper that likes to do a lot of math.
Who takes everyone's scores and adds them up every week.
Brooke might be speaking from experience.
We have my dad literally has a shirt that says Statsman
Statsman.
on it, something like that. Because every gymnastics meet, without a doubt, he would have the what is this called?
The scores for every athlete.
But yeah, he would write everyone's score down. Doesn't matter what school they're from. He would write them down. He would keep track of all of them. He would add up team scores. He would see where I'd placed.
See where the team placed.
See where the team placed. And then he would come up to me and be like, well, if you didn't do this, this, and this, you would be here and here and here. Okay, Dad. Thank you. I know.
Made her a great athlete, though.
Yep.
Made her a great athlete.
So
She may not have liked that when she was younger, but
No.
now she understands.
if you didn't fall off the beam, you would place here.
I wonder if we can get those girls to turn that number a little bit so we can see who's competing.
I know these girls a little more than I do Harrisburg, so hopefully I can just point them out.
And we can see the Harrisburg numbers that are competing on the beam, so that should be okay. I think this is our first actual YouTube broadcast of a aerogymnastics meet, so it's
Yeah.
kind of exciting.
I think, is this the first time it's ever, like, a YouTube video has been commented?
I think so. I think so.
Because I know in the past, we've done just, like, YouTube lives, because I've watched, like, our volleyball team,
YouTube Live, yep.
but I don't think we've ever had YouTube.
So on the floor is Miss Carly Rumpsa, getting ready to perform. And actually, if we watch the choreography of this routine, Brooke Bollinger
I did choreograph this
choreographed this
I
routine
totally
for
forgot
her.
until literally right now. So she'll start with a round up by came back tuck, and she sticks it. So if you see some sass in this, it's coming from me a little bit. This is how I would probably do my floor routine.
So her leap series there. And sometimes after a choreographer does the routine, they got to do a little bit of fixing because it doesn't fit them or they're not fast enough or quick enough.
Also, if your passes change direction, so say like you're choreographed to face one way, but you are actually now landing a different way, you have to figure out how to re-choreograph your routine so you're facing the right way. Usually you just turn around.
So that was her pirouette to her leap. There's her arrow for the Watertown arrows. A little bit of dance to get back into the corner and her turn. And here goes another tumbling pass.
Round up back, came back tuck. Touch your hands a little bit. That won't count as a fall, I do. I don't know.
I think it's a deduction of 3/10. I don't
Yes,
think
I
it's
don't think
a fall.
it's an actual fall.
Because she did complete the tumbling pass.
I think it's if you fall on
If you
your
fall
butt
on your butt or your knees.
or your knees, it should count as a full fall.
Right.
But since you just touched your hands, it should be just a few tenths.
Yeah. So Addison Kunkel will be next up. Oh, and the beam is going to be tough to tell. I can't see the numbers.
Oh,
So I have to apologize. We're not going to be able to see who's performing unless I know who they are.
but she's still just doing her touch here, so
So this doesn't count.
does not count. So if you see her just kind of frantically going through things and falling, it's all right.
Or walking and not looking
not
like she's dancing.
Sprinting across the beam.
So just watching the warm-up on the beam, and Addison Kunkel is waiting for the judge on the floor to complete, judging Carly's routine. And here goes Harrisburg on the beam. And this is Macy Adlin. Thank goodness for her teammates cheering, "Let's go,
I
Macy,"
was
to
like,
help
how
us
did
out.
you figure that out?
Listening to the girls. She saved that. So that little bobble will only be a couple tenths of a deduction.
Nice took half.
Pretty pointed toes, up on toe. Looks like she's getting ready for that full turn. There it is.
There she goes. She did it. Now, I don't think anyone here does it, but there's different variations of a full turn. You can actually do one bent down on your knee, and you actually face sideways, and then you spin. It's called a wolf turn. My roommate, who I met through gymnastics, actually did them, and she did them quite well.
Yes, she was a great beamer.
She was.
All right, so we're on the floor now for the arrows. And this is Addie Kunkel. Carly Rumsa scored a 7.65. And Addie Kunkel is now up. 8th grader for the arrows. Front punch, forward roll, cartwheel. So that's her forward tumbling pass. Look at her teammates doing the dance.
That was one thing that I loved about high school is everyone just knows your floor routine. I think still to this day I know
Most of your teammates.
most of my, or if I hear someone's music, I'll start doing their dance, even if they're not competing. I did that earlier.
I can hear different music and go, oh, that was so-and-so's
So-and-so's
routine.
music. I think earlier I heard of someone's song and I did some dance from like Danny Miles' floor routine.
Shout out to Danny Miles, one of the aero athletes. Oh, got a little
See,
carried
and
away.
she made it work. You
And
just,
she did a
just
backward
do
roll.
A backward roll. Sometimes it happens. She's got that extra boost.
And the Harrisburg girls are dancing along with this music.
Way to go.
And that was Addie Kunkel's routine.
Harrisburg going on mute now.
This is Kiara. And she's not on camera yet, but Kiara just did a turn and fell. She's back up on the beam.
That last Beamer team got a 7.15.
And that little kick jump, that little flutter kick jump,
kick.
looks easy, not so much.
I totally biffed it on a flutter kick once. Just my feet just weren't there anymore apparently and just fell right on my butt.
So that was her back walkover. So that was her acro series. She's got some pretty dance though.
Split jump, tuck 3/4.
Oh.
Shoot.
Now her feet touched the beam. So if both feet touch the beam, she gets credit for that skill, but she does get deducted for a fall.
So she'll still get her bonus, but she will take 0.5.
For the fall.
Up floor, up
on
next
floor.
on the floor is Lyric. Wow, the syllables in that.
And that was the replay of that dismount for Harrisburg. Harrisburg is warming up on the beam right now, and Lyric is waiting patiently to go on the floor. And so Lyric headed out to the floor. There she goes, getting ready for that first tumbling pass.
That's an Arabian. You don't see them quite often. So it is basically you do a half turn before you initiate your flip. It's very hard to differentiate a tuck half or an Arabian. Just because a tuck half you do the half while you're flipping, an Arabian you do the half turn and then you flip.
And notice her pirouette, her legs bent and not straight. So it's just a variety, whatever they want to do. Little soldier boy action here.
Got some cute dance. but she reminds me of Megan Sievers with her arm brace,
Megan Siever is a great athlete in her own right.
who went to
Iowa State
So, wonderful athlete. She just had this amazing elbow brace
from Clear Lake.
from Clear Lake. Her younger sister actually competes at University of
Oklahoma.
So she is a wonderful gymnast. So much fun to watch.
Well, that little move there is fun. That little
Called
curve.
a spider.
There we
I
go.
can't do them. They're so hard.
And a little salute
Way
to
to
the
go,
judges.
Lyric.
Good job, Lyric.
Harrisburg back on beam now. Switch to a split quarter to a tuck half.
Three
Yes.
jumps in a row. That's
3
tough.
jumps in a row.
Takes a beat before she gets back up.
You do have 30 seconds after you fall off to get back on. So, most commonly you see on bars, you use most of that 30 seconds because if you do fall on bars, you can go chalk up again and get back on. So, but on beam, you usually, if you fall, you kind of just take a second, regroup, and then hop back.
She had a nice little tuck dismount. Tiny little step on the dismount. That tiny step might cost her a tenth or 2/10 of a point, depending on what the judge feels there. And again, this is the touch warm-up for Harrisburg. She won't be going next. She'll be after the next athlete.
She just did a back extension on beam, which is very difficult.
It's hard. I feel like that would be hard on your spine.
Yeah, you know, they don't feel the best. I've done one like backward roll on beam before, that was it. Sometimes we would just do them for like fun little games. Like how many forward rolls can you do on beam? And like
0.
stick them? No, it's hard.
Up on the floor for the Arrows is Ariana Schneider. She's a 7th grade. Oh, there's our team score. 106 for Harrisburg, 106.8, and then 101.8 for the Arrows. So 5 points behind. Harrisburg, though, I believe last year they were 2nd in state and the Arrows were 3rd. That was some great little dance.
It was.
That was cute.
Front punch step out to a round off backhand. That counts as your front pass. Beautiful back extension.
And that's what the other athlete did on the beam, but she did it on the floor. And there's a show of flexibility.
And the arrow for Watertown. You can't see me, but I just did dance from an old teammate's routine. I still remember. It's actually Caitlin Rudebush. This is her old
yep.
music. So she's
Backhand.
she's off on the sideline right now. But
Wolf jump. Front walkover.
these are all like little showy tricks that really, they don't add up to much, just kind of.
They just add to the composition of your routine.
Yep.
And that was Ariana's routine. And it's really important, if you see the athletes slowing down at the end, they have to end when their music ends.
Yeah.
So sometimes if they've rushed their routine a little bit and gotten ahead of the music, sometimes you see them slowing down on purpose so that they end when their music ends.
Yes. Sometimes girls will cut their music shorter because they don't need the whole minute 30. But if your coach forgets to download the right version, you have like 10 seconds of dance that you just now have to improvise. I'm pretty sure that happened to Kinsley Van Gilder once. She did a wonderful job. You just make up dance. So it's good to have those improv skills on floor if like you forget your dance, or on beam if you need to add in some
Skills that you're missing, or skills that you didn't hit.
So it's good to have those just in your back pocket. You never know when you'll need them.
And lots of time on the beam, it's something that you didn't get the skill, so you got to add in the skill. On the floor, it might be just you've rushed and now you've got to do some dance to fill that time and make it up. Trying to see who's up on the floor next for the arrows. Well, that was a unique way to get under the beam. Did you see that? She just rolled under.
That's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it. They don't like you to touch the apparatus if you're not performing on the apparatus. So instead of going around, she just
You
rolled
go under.
That works.
That's one way to do it.
So I believe it's Ella Palmquist on the floor.
Starts with a sassy little 1.5 turn.
There's her arrow.
There's that half turn, that minimum requirement to get the event requirement. Standing tuck. This is a fun little arrow.
There was a lot happening there. I think it was a cartwheel to a backhand. Got a little short on that skill. Here's her split leaps. Wolf jump. And dance to the corner. Here's her next tumbling pass. Backhand, back tuck. And that was just a fun little dance routine, or dance move into a handstand. Got a great smile out of her. And off the floor they go. We're going to see a replay here of a tumbling pass. So backhand, back tuck. Just some warming up here going on. I believe Harrisburg is competing right now. I think this is their last JV athlete. That's Layla Vincent on the beam. Cute little routine. Nice job by Layla. High fives from her teammates. Next up on the beam is going to be Kennedy Malloy. Kennedy Malloy. And you're going to see her replay here with Layla's. That was her backhand, and she missed the beam. Lots of times their hips get off, and if their hips turn, they're just going to go straight off the beam. But she did hop back up on that beam. She repeated the skill, so she does get credit for that back walkover, which is her acro series. Had she not gotten back up on the beam and redid that again, it wouldn't have given her credit.
Just warming up on beam, doing that little 30-second touch. Watertown's going on floor.
This is Ella Palmquist.
I thought she just went. Maybe not. I don't know. Hard to see the number. First tumbling pass is a front layout to a forward roll. You can see that forward tumbling. Switch leap to a straddle jump to a tuck full. So that switch leap to a straddle jump doesn't actually count as your leap series. In high school, you do have to connect your jump right out of your leap, which is different within club, because club you can do that leap and then do a little sachet and then do your jump and you still get credit for it. But in high school, you have to connect the two jumps, so that's why she did that tuck full out of that straddle jump.
And that second tumbling pass, she had that unique move again.
Right up backhand, back tuck. Nice stick.
Her teammates are doing their dance with her. Front walk over. And that just moved right
Nice
there.
show of
Just
flexibility.
show of flexibility.
Gotta have some flexible hips to do that.
And
Not
a
easy.
salute to the judge and off. And we're competing over here on the beam.
Switch leap to both 3/4. That gets you that high level back to back again. It's a very common series that a lot of athletes do.
Some pretty dance. Those Leos make that dance look pretty.
Their Leo's really sparkly.
Now, that probably was supposed to be a full turn, but she went a little bit beyond, but sold that like it was on purpose. So I don't think she's going to get any deduction for that. Ooh, that was a unique move. Her toes did touch the mat, though, so that is going to be a deduction. I'm not sure if they'll give her a 5/10 for a fall.
It's only like a 10.
Just a little bit
'Cause
off
it's
there.
not an actual.
It's not an actual fall.
It's nothing big, nothing major, but they don't. I mean, they would prefer you not to touch.
Not
the
to
mat
touch.
under you, so.
That's
But
pretty routine.
That sideways straddle that she did on the beam is actually worth more than doing it facing forward, because you can't see the beam underneath you, so causes some difficulty.
Yeah, any skill where you can't see the beam is going to be a little bit harder or higher points because you can't see the beam.
Yes.
You just got to trust your landing.
But I bet it's probably easier to do a straddle jump that way because if your feet don't land fully together, at least there's more beam than what there would be facing forward.
Who do we have up here on floor? All right.
Starting off with a full that fulfills that one minimum of a 180 turn in an acro skills. So
We had a wolf jump. Turn.
there's a shrug. A shrug is an advanced high, so it actually gives you some bonus.
Oh, look at her teammates cheering her on with that.
Right hand from punch forward roll. Well done. Once again, that straddle jump to that tuck full is the actual jump series and not the switch leap in front of it.
How do I check the battery? How do I check the battery?
This is her last tumbling pass. Backhand, backhand, back tuck. She made it. Notice that she has that one at the end. It's a little tougher. You know, at the end, you don't think a minute, 30 seconds is very long until you're tumbling the entire time and dancing. So it gets a little bit.
It's like doing a minute 30 sprint as fast as you can go, and then smiling, and then also trying to do flips all at the same time. So a lot harder than it appears to be.
And Harrisburg is back on the beam. She's competing. Pretty little cartwheel there. Little dance sass move there. This is the full turn. Here it is. Oh, and Kira held on to that.
Same.
I noticed she went past a full turn, but that's okay. She sold it, danced through it.
Straddle quarter
Quarter.
to a straddle just sideways.
She's getting ready for her dismount. You can see her coach standing there. Again, the coach can stand there.
To a tuck full.
And lots of times the coach stands there, just a little support person. As long as the coach isn't touching the athlete, they don't get any deduction. So watch her jumps here. That was the quarter, and then just the straddle jump. Straddle jump looks tough to me.
It is tough. I couldn't do them at all. Only out of my struggle.
Yes.
Because I had a lot of extra power.
And so Harrisburg is warming up on the beam, and the arrows are waiting for their turn to go on the floor.
That tuck full dismount that she did gives her just more bonus. It's a harder difficulty than just like a regular tuck, so she gets an advanced high for that. For majority of events, you need at least, or you can get up to 2 advanced highs that go up to your bonus, so that gives you an extra 4/10 of bonus, so that makes up half of the bonus that you could possibly.
So this is Ashlyn Andrews. Here's her first tumbling pass.
That Branny that I was talking about into a back handspring, back tuck.
Is that her forward tumbling pass then?
That would count. No, I think that still counts as your back tuck.
As your back pass.
Yes.
Look at her
Maybe
smiling
not. I don't
throughout. There's her arrow. Yeah,
Front
This is her
handspring.
forward tumbling
There
pass.
we go. Right handspring front layout. Well done. Very nice and clean. Switch side to a straddle full. See how she connected those two? There was no pause in between or a big shuffle. So that's her leap series. Third pass. Roundoff backhand, back tuck. It's a very common pass to see just because it does fulfill a low-level back-to-back bonus.
Little dance series here, showing off her
She's a little
personality.
sassy one, I know.
Yep. And her
Very well
teammates end with her. Nicely done. And there's Ashlyn on the screen giving you a big smile. And this is a replay of one of her passes.
That front hand, front layout, it was very well done. That little bounce at the end does count as a 10th. She did hop a little
So it's
ways.
not a stuck landing
It's not
for
stuck.
that.
Sticking a front pass is a lot harder than sticking a back pass because front passes are blind landing, so you cannot see where you are going.
And you want to step out of it.
And you are allowed to step out of it as long as one foot remains planted. So a lot of times when you're watching athletes tumble forward or back, they will usually step at least 1 foot backwards, and that front foot will stay planted, and it still counts as a stick if you do that. You don't have to stick it with both feet together, but it is impressive if you can show that off.
Yeah.
So, but yes, a lot of people prefer back tumbling over front tumbling because once again, that front tumbling is a blind landing. You cannot see where you're going or where your feet are or where the floor is. So it's a lot of spatial awareness that you just learn throughout the years.
Doing it over and over
Doing
and
it over and over again.
Kind of know where your body's
A lot of, when you throw in new skills, you lose that spatial awareness. So you just got to keep doing them until your body knows where it's at. So Marley Wadsworth on the floor.
There's Marley. You can see her. Great smile. Love it. Here goes Marley.
Marley is a very wonderful dancer. She shows off her dance well. That hair really just adds to it.
So there is no deduction if your hair is flicking like that. It just adds to the sass of the routine.
Judges can see it as a distraction. There was a round off half to a front punch. A little step back, but still good.
Still saved it.
But judges can see hair as a distraction and can make comments about it. They can take little baby points off in the composition section of a score sheet, which is just up to the judge's discretion. So, but it's not
Beautiful
very
leaps.
it's not very common to see.
Those are great leaps.
Yes.
She just had a split leap there and a straddle.
Front hand, front punch, forward roll. You can see she over-rotated that front punch just a little bit, but it was okay because that forward roll was right after.
Saved her. She could just keep going.
Keep rolling. Ooh.
Great dance.
Good
in this
sharp.
routine.
Oh, shoot.
Front layout. Missed that second front layout. Was a little short on the
There's a
landing.
pirouette. So that will count as a full fall. So a full 5/10 will be taken into one. Otherwise, very good routine.
Great dance on that routine, and her teammates dancing with her. They loved it. So here this is the replay of her back hand. What was that, Brooke?
It was a round off layout half to a front punch.
All the things.
All the things. So that gives you that 180 requirement. You also get a bonus for that. I'm not sure if it's a high level or a low level.
That was an awesome dismount for Harrisburg with a stuck landing. It was a little bit off camera, so you couldn't see it because she got some good distance from the beam on her dismount, but nice stuck landing for them. And Harrisburg is just warming up right now, so you can see back walkover, and then she just regathered herself. This is Motel, I believe. And she
No.
backhand. Nope.
No.
Nope, it is not Motel. You are correct.
Yes. But this is
Brindley, I
yes,
believe.
this is
Sanderson.
that was a good angle. Oh, here it is again. You can see that nice crisp line down the side of the beam. It's just a marker for the athletes. The reason why it's on the side is because it's just kind of a courteous thing to do. But you can see her, she's drawing a line right across on the top, which is totally fine. But sometimes with a lot of lines and with a lot of athletes, especially at big meets, there's just a lot going on top of the beam. So it's just kind of a courteous thing to do it out like down the side. So.
And the beam kind of, if you look at a beam, if you look down on a beam, it does kind of bow out on the side, so you can see that line on the side. It doesn't go straight down on the side. It's not a 90-degree angle. So it's a little bit out.
But just because some athletes don't like a ton of chalk on the beam, which I loved a lot of chalk.
And getting ready to go on the beam for Harrisburg is Caitlin Nation, and on the floor,
Ashley Stanley.
Ashley Stanley. Look at that smile.
Cutie.
Great beginning. Little doorbell. We didn't see it, but Caitlin had a unique mount onto the beam that was a little more difficult, but just more style points for her.
Her first pass is a front layout, and you see that back foot did not move, so it's a good landing. A 1.5 turn to a tuck full, so that'll give her some bonus, just as I think a low level back-to-back, which is only worth, I believe, a 10th. Little sass there. A switch to a strug. Those two are two independent skills and don't count as a loop series. Round up, backhand, back tuck. Here's a pirouette.
And notice that her legs are bent, and that's okay. Just style points, whatever way you want to do it. You want to have them straight in the air or bent like that or touch.
Into a woofle, and you can see when she stepped out of that pirouette, her feet were apart, which is a little deduction, but nothing major. But the important thing is she didn't shuffle them in between the pirouette and the jump to get that connection.
So here's the replay of one of her tumbling passes.
There's that round off layout half to get that 180 required.
So Caitlin Rudabush will be up next and warming up on the beam. I think she's warming up.
Yes.
Yep, she's warming up.
A good way to tell is to look at the teammates around her.
Yep.
So. And
oh, that's going to be a unique dismount. Now, hopefully
someone's going to hold that mat
hold
for
that
her.
mat for her.
Or they'll just run over to bars and grab that squirt bottle, which I don't see anywhere.
Okay,
But
they're holding the mat for her this time. And if that mat slips when they're doing that dismount and nobody's holding it, it's still a deduction. So you'll see now they got a whole bunch of athletes over there. Okay, we're all going to hold it. We're going to make sure she doesn't.
She'll probably do the full now for this one. Or no, maybe not.
Nope, just the back tuck.
You'll see quite commonly athletes squirting water under it. That water just helps it not slide.
Stick.
Yeah. But
Brooke used to do a gainer off the side of the beam.
I forgot I did that.
Yeah, and it's a side kick flip off the beam, and it makes it look like she is going to fall. I hated that dismount, so I'm glad she took it out.
Yes. I did have to change it to
it
a
looked cool.
I had to change it to a round off, which I wasn't very happy about, but Vicky said so.
I believe Caitlin Rudabush is next on the floor, so you can see her. Brooke, talk about how do you decide where to start on the floor?
Wherever you feel like. So, depending on the arena I was in, there was always a corner that I wanted to do a certain skill into, and so I would just redirect my whole floor routine to tumble in that one specific corner. Some girls just pick and choose, so.
Did you want to do a certain skill towards the judge?
No, there were skills that I wanted to do away from them. So if like my tumbling was fine and I didn't care which way I was tumbling, my coach would be like, make sure you do, well, at least this skill not facing the judge. So
hide it a little.
There's little tactics that you can do to hide maybe not your strongest skills, but there's that strug to a wolf straddle that should be a high level back-to-back, including an advanced high for that strug. I also choreographed this routine. I enjoyed hers a lot.
So you're going to see a lot of sass going on, but Caitlin has a lot of sass.
She does. Here's a full. Well done.
Beautiful.
I actually do indeed remember all of it. And I really want to do it right now. A wolf 1.5, that should be an advanced high. It is a hard skill to do, but
So Caitlin does a little bit of dance to get into that corner. Does a full turn.
a double turn, that should be, I don't know, a little something. Last pass. A round up by can back tuck. Very nicely done.
And again, waiting a little bit for that music. So, you know, that tumbling pass went a little bit faster, so slows down a little bit on that ending. And then we're back over on the beam. Ooh, Kaya.
A little close. That's all right.
I
though.
was a little close. Replay on Caitlin's last tumbling pass. Again, it's that backhand, or round off backhand, back tuck. So Harrisburg, you'll notice that girls move that mat in and out from underneath the beam depending on, you know, what their skills are or how they're mounting the beam.
Just personal preference, what's under you. There was always a rule that we weren't allowed to have an 8-inch or under. Because a lot of us had mental blocks and we're like, we need the 8-inch under us. And our coach was like, no, you
Not
don't.
allowed.
No, do it without it. We're like, okay. So. For acro series here was a back walk with a back handspring.
And this is just to show that she can change levels. So she goes down on the beam and can get back up, and it's all graceful and it flows together. Here's the full turn. Now notice she starts with her foot up, and that way when she gets all the way around, she was able to step out of it, and that helps her with her balance. So that still counts as the full turn.
I thought I jumped to a wolf 3/4, and it was very nicely done. That wolf
Perfectly
3/4
done.
is a lot harder to
And then
do.
here's this dismount coming up.
Wait.
Awesome.
Oh, well done.
Well
A
done.
little big step, but that's okay.
Big step, but you know what? A great
Otherwise, very
dismount.
good. Very good floor routine.
Great beam routine.
Beam routine.
All
You are
right,
right about
Brianna McElhaney's up on the floor.
We got a front full to a forward roll. That front full is an advanced high, and is a very difficult skill to do. I switched
Switch lead.
to a strug. Those two are independent skills, but they do count towards their jumps and leaps.
This is her pirouette. Notice that she did hers with her legs together and straight in the air, where some of them do bend their knees and put a foot on the knee. Second pass.
Front punch, step out. Round off, layout, step out.
Layout step outs are so pretty. I love the layout
They are
step
very,
out.
when they're done right, they
When
are
they're done
very
right. That
beautiful
was done
skills.
right.
Yes. And it's not any harder difficulty. They don't get any bonus points for it, but it just adds a little flair, adds a little variety, and judges like to see a little variety in athlete to athlete, just because they do see a lot of the same skills all day.
So again, there was that backhand, back tuck. So
Yes.
the same skill that you see.
Very
And that was Brianna's routine. Nicely done.
This is
Kaya Botan.
Kaya. I was gonna say Kira, but that's her cousin.
We're going to get a replay of Brianna's front punch step out,
Layout step
layout step out. And then Kaya is on the beam. Kaya has beautiful lines. If you want to see a gymnast with beautiful lines, watch Kaya.
Switch leap to a straddle quarter.
And it might seem like she's exaggerating some of her moves, but that really shows her lines off and how tight she is. So even though it looks like an exaggeration, it really does give extra credit to her dance moves.
So she bobbled on that first one. You saw her do a little dance and then go back and do it again to get that connection. So that is one of those improvising moments that you just need to have in your back pocket. And then she finishes with an 8 cartwheel tuck full for a dismount.
A little bit close to the beam, but it doesn't matter. She hit that.
Unlike vault, you do not get judged on how far you go
So
off
there's
the beam.
that flutter kick with that 3/4 wolf and saved it. But like Brooke said, she went back and redid that skill so that she could get credit for those skills. Got to think sometimes when we're up on the beam, especially on the beam. That's where you have to think and improvise and stick those new skills back in that you might not have hit before, so that you can get your start value back up there.
Beam is one of the easiest though, because you're not really restricted to music, or
Don't have to stick to the beat.
don't have to stick to the beat. Bars, you're just swinging around, so if you have to improvise while you're swinging, it's kind of hard. Beam, you can take your time, kind of improvise dance, and then figure out what you're trying to do from there.
So here's Shauna Eversted. She's got a fun little beginning, and it doesn't really matter how you start your routine or where you start on the floor. First tumbling pass.
A beautiful 1.5.
And Brianna McElhaney got a 9.25 on her floor routine. She was warming up a double,
They are hard to land.
but she
Doubles are
didn't land
very
it in her
difficult to
warm-up, so
land.
I think she backed off and did the 1.5,
Which
which
is-
was beautiful.
Which is okay, because they double and 1.5, unless they've changed the rules since I've been in it, are worth the same value. So sometimes less is more. So,
And well done.
and well done.
And she had those tumbling passes well done. She's very clean in her tumbling passes.
Yes.
Notice she takes her time.
A front punch, front punch. A little short on the butt, but that's okay.
That's going to count as a fall, so that's 5/10 off.
Dive forward roll.
Dive forward
One of
roll,
my favorite skills.
Brooke's favorite skills. It was in every floor routine.
A switch leap to a wolf
Wolf.
jump. That just kind of gets her her leaps and jumps in, and a little death drop to end the floor routine.
Death drop to end it. We love it.
It was a gorgeous, gorgeous floor routine.
Here's the replay of her one of her tumbling passes.
That 1.5, she sticks it quite well. She does travel a little bit, but nothing major. She's probably 10th.
So you see that front foot step out. You can tell that front foot's stopping her, but it's part of her flow, so she makes it look like it's part of it. So there's not a lot of deduction on that. Kinsley Van Gilder is waiting. She's gonna be, I believe, last. Nope, maybe not. I don't know if Caroline goes. I don't think so.
I don't think so. She's got some
She's
ice
got
on
some
her
ice
knee,
on her knee, so I don't think she's going. So
Carol-
Kinsley must be it here for the
Carol
Arrows.
is notorious for tearing an MCL on floor. She's done it now twice,
I think
3
so.
times.
She looks good with crutches.
She's had surgery one too many times, so gotta protect that knee of hers.
So you see Kinsley just standing on the sidelines waiting. She's kind of going over the routine in her head. Feet are probably a little sweaty there, so she's wiping her feet.
Now, being last on floor wasn't my ideal favorite, just because there is no one touching in between floor routines. So
You had to wait.
you are just waiting. Now I know she's done this floor routine for
I think it's year 2.
year 2.
Year 3?
Did I choreograph this?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
What was that, a 1.5?
A 1.5. I did not choreograph this. She's done this since I've been in high school, I'm pretty sure.
So a little switch leap. Another switch leap, strug switch leap, right?
Yes.
Into
It
the
was a
corner.
1.5 turn.
Getting ready for our next tumbling pass.
A front punch. And Kinsley has always been very, very good at those.
Well done. Here's her pirouette. Notice we want her to stay in one area and not travel too far. She did pretty good there.
That's her high level back to back.
So she had that wolf jump coming out of the pirouette.
And with that back tuck.
So this kind of gives the athlete a little moment to rest. by Kinsley.
I do believe that is everyone.
Here's the replay. Just that backhand, back tuck. So that concludes all of the performances from all the athletes. I'm not sure, are we going to stay on for awards?
Yeah,
We're going to
okay.
stay on for awards. I think Brooke Bollinger is going to take over from here. She'll probably just listen and hear awards.
I'm taking.
Jen Bollinger has to go down and announce the
you
awards.
do have to announce.
So thanks everybody for watching. We'll stick around and watch the awards and see how each of the athletes does in their events. So thank you for listening.
Jim Bollinger to the head table, please. Jim Bollinger. We've got some great tunes to go along with all the excitement on game time here for the Aero fans. Athletic officials are seldom given the appreciation they deserve. They are given the responsibility and authority to enforce the rules of the game. Please treat the officials with the same good sportsmanship you treat the students. More music is coming up here on Game Time. Boys,
the banner.
Guys, we gotta wait to change, okay? We're the worst.
Stop being whiny.
My clothes are down there. Hey guys, my clothes are down there. Can you guys go up and wear our clothes?
Okay, assemble, let's go. People gotta change.
Girls, go in the same place.
We're gonna start awards, ladies. So we're gonna do. Oh, hold on just a minute. We gotta do a photo shoot first, I guess.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Cute, go. Good job.
All right, we're gonna start with JV awards. We're gonna go 6 athletes out, so up to 6th place. I feel like I'm echoing. All right, we're gonna start with vault. There was a tie for 6th place, so taking 6th place with a 7.9 is Marley Wadsworth. And also in 6th place from Watertown is Ariana Snyder. There was a tie for 4th place with 8.0s from Watertown, Ella Palmquist. And from Harrisburg, Macy Adland. Taking 3rd place from Watertown with an 8.1 is Cameron. And in 2nd place with an 8.45 from Harrisburg is Kiera. Is it Kiera or Kiara? Kiara Legg. And then 1st place on the vault from Harrisburg with an 8.5, Molly Milady. Ladies, salute. Moving on to bars. In 6th place with a 5.6 from Harrisburg, Macy Adland. In 5th place with a 5.8 from Watertown, Carly Rumsa. In 4th place with a 5.95 from Watertown, Ariana Snyder. In 3rd place with a 7.3 from Harrisburg, Miranda Fokin. In 2nd place with a 7.65 from Harrisburg, Molly Milady. And taking 1st from Harrisburg with a 7.75, Layla Vincent. Ladies, salute. On to beam. In 6th place with a 7.1 from Harrisburg, Layla Vincent. In 5th place with a 7.15 from Harrisburg, Macy Adland. In 4th place with a 7.2 from Harrisburg, Molly Milady. 3rd place from Watertown with a 7.3, Marley Wadsworth. In 2nd place with a 7.35 from Watertown, Shauna Everson. And taking 1st place on the beam with an 8.2 from Harrisburg, Kennedy Malloy. You probably won't be on the 1st place side. Ladies, salute. Next event is the floor. Taking 6th place with an 8.0 from Watertown, Lyric Diedrich. In 5th place from Watertown with an 8.25, Cameron, I'm going to say it wrong, Romandia. In 4th place from Harrisburg with an 8.35, Layla Vincent. In 3rd place from Harrisburg with an In second place from Watertown with an 8.45, Ella Palmquist. And then taking first place on floor with an 8.55 from Harrisburg, Kennedy Malloy. Ladies salute.
I was trying to get Brian to send me a text.
And now on to all around. In sixth place, with an all-around score of 27.0 from Harrisburg, Kiara Legg. In fifth place, with an all-around score of 27.65 from Watertown, Carly Rumsa. In fourth place, with an all-around score of 27.85 from Watertown, Ella Palmquist. In third place, with a score of 28.55 from Harrisburg, Macy Atland. Taking second place from Harrisburg with a 29.05, Miranda Fogan. And your all-around winner from Harrisburg with a score of 31.75, Molly Mulady. Ladies salute. And the team scores for both teams. Watertown had a team score of 114.95, taking second place. And in first place, Harrisburg with a score of 123.8. Congratulations, ladies. Let's give the JV teams a round of applause. All right, now on to varsity. We're going to start with vault. Again, we're going to go 6 places out. So in 6th place on the vault with an 8.85 from Watertown, Kinsley Van Gilder. In 5th place from Harrisburg with an 8.9, Jersey Tryon. In 4th place from Watertown with a 9.0, Ashlyn Andrews. There was a tie for 2nd place, so taking 3rd place with a 9.1 from Harrisburg, Meredith Ruby. And in 2nd place, also with a 9.1, was Brianna McElhaney from Watertown. And in 1st place on the vault from Harrisburg with a 9.45, Caitlin Nation.
This is only the first event for
Ladies salute. On to bars. In 6th place with an 8.1 from Harrisburg, Lindley Sanderson. There was a tie for 4th place, both scoring 8.2. In 4th place from Harrisburg was Kennedy Malloy. And also in 4th place, Jersey Tryon. In 3rd place from Harrisburg with an 8.25, Kaya Hotel. Taking 2nd on the bars from Watertown with an 8.3, Brianna McElhaney. And taking 1st on the bars from Harrisburg with an 8.95, Caitlin Nation. Ladies salute.
get the system down.
On to beam. There was a tie for 6th place, so we're Ladies salute.
We're all gonna be talking about that when we come up here to talk.
So I go to the safety camp.
On to floor. In 6th place with a 9.1 from Harrisburg, Lily Gusso. In 5th place with a 9.15 from Watertown, Kinsley Van Gilder. In 4th place from Harrisburg with a 9.2, Caitlin Nation. In 3rd place with a 9.25 from Watertown, Brianna McElhaney. In 2nd place from Harrisburg with a 9.3, Kaya Botel. And taking 1st place on the floor with a 9.4 from Harrisburg, Ridley Sanderson. Ladies salute. And now on to our all-around scores. In 6th place with a 34.1 from Watertown, Kinsley Van Gilder. In 5th place with a 35.1 from Harrisburg, Jersey Tryon. In 5th place with a 35.3 from Harrisburg, Kaya Botel. In 3rd place with a score of 35.5 from Harrisburg, Brittany Sanderson. In 2nd place from Watertown with a 35.7, Brianna McElhaney. And taking 1st in all around with a score of 37.05 from Harrisburg, Caitlin Mason. Ladies salute. And finally for our team score. Taking 2nd place, I'll wait, there we go. Taking 2nd place is Watertown with a team score of 138.05. And in 1st place, Harrisburg with 143.6. Ladies, thank you. Let's give the athletes all a round of applause before we take off. Arrows, good luck tomorrow.
You're watching the best high school sports broadcast produced entirely by students and adult volunteers. This is Arrow TV.